you know this person has lost a parent, don't accept all right. How, are you still hanging out with so and so? Man, what's going on with your hair? Letting it grow. Start open up the conversation and make the space safe.
Right.
And again, most men will open up one-on-one. And if you're in a group setting, depending, because the barbershops, men talk. But that one-on-one setting is where you're really going to start to see, okay, what is this person dealing with?
Okay. Before you bring anybody up, I just want to say I ran a poll in my room. I said, can you be vulnerable around your woman? Out of the people that voted, only 29% said yes, 71% said no.
Then why are they?
We must be crappy pickers of women.
Well, I don't. Okay, maybe.
I'm just saying.
But I don't understand why we're in relationships where you've only seen your significant other cry once or twice at a funeral. I don't understand that, because men hurt all the time. And
but
why
women acknowledge that men hurt all the time? You as a therapist will, because you've seen it, you've dealt with it, you've helped men through it. But the general woman, with the veil that she has over her eyes 95% of the time when it comes to her men, and why a woman can look at her man getting his butt beat, even though he's a professional fighter, and all of a sudden say, even though he's a good man, he does no wrong to me, I can't just see my man get his ass whooped one time. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a problem with that clip, because I do, because I'm just, come on. That's
extreme. It's extreme.
It is extreme. I think that's extreme. I can't see a lot of women who especially have been through with their significant other, their partner, throughout this training and all this other stuff, and you're willing to dump him because they tried to protect themselves. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I think that was an extreme example of what you guys are trying to push here, is that men are out there.
Are you trying to say we have an agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I? You did imply that. But anyway, guys, before you guys come up, I just want to make sure that you guys understand this is going to be a professional, conductive, positive type of conversation. We're not going to deal with any shenanigans. The minute you look like you're going to do some shenanigans, you up out of here. I'm just letting you know.
Thank you, because I don't have any patience.
Okay, so if you can't ask and be respectful of our guests, we can't tolerate you being on the panel.
Thank you.
But I got 2 videos.
So when we're ready to open up, go ahead. You can open up whenever you're ready.
Let me play these 2 videos first.
Floyd line, living life of quiet desperation. I mean, that just terrifies me.
That's the Rose quote, that most men live lives of quiet desperation. It's one of my favorite quotes ever, because it's true. And I've been that guy.
Oh my God.
You're just in this world where you just can't wait to just run away.
And how do people get stuck there? How do you think they get stuck there?
Bills.
Like financial bills?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Bills and commitment. You have an apartment you have to pay for. You have a car you leased. You have a wife that you have to feed. You have a child you have to raise. You have to... You have your mortgage, you have your this, you have your that, and that's where it all comes from.
Where do you think opportunity plays into that?
Well, the opportunity takes place usually when you're young and you don't have any responsibility. That's when you have your options. Well, your options are severely limited the more you gather responsibilities. Like if I had to, as a 51-year-old father of 3, married man, pays taxes, has a house and a mortgage and a business and all that jazz. If I had to quit everything now and struggle the way I struggled as a stand-up comedian, it would never work. But the only way I could be this person now is if I took that chance when I was 21, when I was dead broke and had my cars repossessed and all that stuff. That's the only way you ever get where you want to go. You have to take a path that's dangerous. And most people want to take the safe path. And the safe path leaves you stuck in quiet desperation almost every time. It's hell. It's hell. You're selling insurance or some other shit that you care zero about.
Hold up. I sold insurance. Hold on. I made real good money on insurance. Are you kidding me?
But what I want to say is you see, as a man accumulates and he has responsibility, he can't be that person that just says, man, this isn't what I wanted to do. I'm unhappy. I'm sad. I'm this. He can never walk away. He has to just suck it up. This is who I am. And that's when we say he going through depression because he looks around and he finds out his life isn't what I wanted it to be. I'll play one more clip, and then I'll answer old Krusty, because I want to know, is this how you get out of the depression, or is this even what depression is?
Henry David Thoreau said most men live lives of quiet desperation. And I like to add to that most men are also suffering in silence. And the reason for that is that they have a conscience. Your conscience is your inner voice, fellas. Your inner voice tells you the type of man you want to be. You think about the type of man you want to be. Maybe you want to be more fit. You want to lose fat. You want to start making more money. You want to show up as a better husband, a better father. You want to be a better leader, a better entrepreneur. Maybe you want to learn to do jujitsu and fight, yet you don't. And so your conscience is constantly gnawing away at you, just gnawing away at you with anxiety and depression. And that is why most men live lives of quiet desperation and suffer in silence, is because you are incongruent with your conscience. You are incongruent with the man that you want to be. So start becoming more congruent and evolve.
So are men experience depression because they are not the men they want to be? And then I'm going to get to old Krusty. Is that why when you talk to these men, is it that, I want it to be this and I'm not that, or I'm not happy? What is that what it does?
Well, I mean, I think with men that come into counseling, it's for many different reasons. Depression is, Ronan, when you had stated, military, I dealt with a lot of PTSD vets, and that was one of the things. It was interesting how, and you hit it, and I'm like, wow, that was my experience when dealing with veterans that came into therapy. There was so much stuff that they had put aside and focused on their career, and then once the military experience was over, all of that stuff resurfaced. So it wasn't just the military and their experience, as a soldier or whatever. It wasn't just that. It was, childhood trauma. It was divorce in the midst of serving. Dealing with children, dealing with loss.
Mhm.
So all of that stuff resurfaced. So men come into therapy for many different reasons. And yes, some of it is, this is not where I thought I would be at 40 years old or 50 years old. This is not where I wanted, I don't think my wife is happy with what I'm providing. I don't feel like I can provide what my wife wanted. I don't know that I'm the father that I, thought I would be because of my childhood experiences. So there's many different reasons why men come into therapy.
Yeah. I think for me, for veterans, the 22 a day number hits me so hard because military guys are so, like I said, overtly wanting to be of service and have done a lot of things with being in command of men, $1 million pieces of equipment and all these things and responsibilities. And they come home, whether they're broken or not, and start feeling hopeless, helpless, become a burden to the other woman. I literally had a death pact. If I got into a situation where I was seriously maimed, I told my buddy I wanted to put a bullet in my head. Don't send me home like this.
Right.
I don't want to be a burden to my family.
Right.
These are the mindsets of a lot of these guys. And when they go home and that decompartmentalizing starts to happen because they have no other missions they can put their minds onto.
Right.
This is
the military is their identity.
Right. Part of it.
Part of
their family, right? But then that's gone too. Now where do you go? Now you got to deal with all that stuff you never dealt with.
Right.
So that's why I bring that up. But
I'll read this super chat from old Krusty. He says, so I can't talk about red pill, manosphere, passport bro talk? Yes, sir, because maybe the red pill, the manosphere, or the passport bro talk is maybe why men can't be vulnerable. Maybe it's put in this thing that, this is how men need to be. This is how they have to be. And maybe that's how the young generation are growing up to say, well, I can't be like this, or I can't be like that.
yeah.
I mean, it goes back to, you say, oh, you aren't the man. You think about it. Everybody says, oh, you aren't the man that my dad used to be. We used to suffer. We talk about Generation X or Generation Z, where they want a work-life balance. It's work-life balance. You go to work. What do you mean? There's no balance. You just work.
Right.
So
You
maybe
work
that
for the
is
greater
the cycle
good of your
of
family, your
depression.
wife, your kids. But then, like I said, when all that goes away, what are you working for?
Well,
Correct.
I want to go back to, what I stated. Men come into therapy for many different reasons. And, I feel like a lot of this we focused on relationships and not necessarily as much as the depression and anxiety. However, I do understand how unhealthy relationship plays a role into men getting into this state of depression and anxiety and just feeling overwhelmed with, okay, what does it mean to be a man now? So I do understand how that, but there are a lot of men out there who, if they would just open up their mouths or just reach it, they don't even have to tell a friend. Just pick up the phone. There's so many EAP programs out there that these companies have where people can just literally pick up the phone and speak to somebody in real time at that moment, discuss what's going on, hit some coping strategies until they can get into therapy on a regular basis. There's a lot of resources out there that weren't there. And I'm gonna say pre-pandemic, because pre-pandemic, I was actually working in an agency. And in the course of what was going on from 2020 to 2023, 24, I was able to branch out and work on my own because so many people were coming into therapy. So I do think the pandemic changed things. It changed accessibility to resources, and it made it easier for people to pick up the phone or log in and get help. So the resources are there. It's just a matter of that person saying, you know what, I want to get better, recognizing that there is an issue and they want to get on the other side of it.
And I'm going to bring you guys up. Before I do that, I want to say a shout out to Black Man Travels. I think he came on before and he was saying that he had lost his job. And I was like, man, that's being vulnerable. That's opening up, saying, hey, man, I lost my job. I got my family here. I just brought my wife from another country. We just had a newborn baby. And I was like, wow. And so I say to guys, because he called me up and he, explained to me a situation. So I say to men, if you call your friend up and you're vulnerable and say something, and their response isn't, how can I help? What's going on? If it's, oh man, you said it's this, then that's not your friend.
Correct.
Because if your friend is opening up to you, and sometimes it's not about, I think one of the issues that we as men have is we are solution oriented and we're trying to find a solution. Sometimes it's not about a solution. It's just having that conversation with the guy. It's just saying, bro, hey, we're going to get through this. There was a pastor who told me this story and it stuck with me. He was a pastor and owned a funeral home. He said there was a situation when there was a person who died and people from the church came over. There was a woman, her husband had died, and the family and friends came over. Girl, it's all right. If there's anything I can do for you, you just call me up. I'm gonna help you out. Whatever you do, you just call me. Anything you need, just give me a call. He said that's what all the church family does. He said then there was a real friend who sent the son over, who cut the grass without asking, who brought some food without asking, who took care of her. Because if her husband just died, you already know she in need. You already know she needs help. Why the fuck are you asking if there's anything I can do to help you? I help you. You already know they need help. So when your friend is reaching out to you, don't say, is there anything I can do? Just do it.
Just
you know
do
that they are suffering and doing it. So those are the real true friends. And now let me bring up a few people. And I hope you got a little more time because they got some
I
questions.
have plenty of time.
All right. We got HB Gone Global in the house and we got Darnell in the house. Welcome to the panel, guys.
Hi, sunshine.
No, you just didn't do that.
Hey, what's going on, Pedal Man? How y'all doing tonight?
All right.
Welcome to the panel, my brother.
See, we already got beef. You said don't come up here with the smoke, and she giving me the smoke already.
No, she's not. No, she's not.
That
She
was
just
part of
kidding.
an experiment.
No, but yeah,
We can grill it because we got to get, I think grilling means we got to get to the heart of the problem. So we want to make sure that we get to it. And I'm gonna bring this up because and before anybody goes, I know you guys are here, but I talked to Buckus before this, and I asked him to come to the show. And Buckus, I'll let you state why I asked you to come to the show, and you can talk. So if you can go first, Buckus, and then I'll let everybody else go. I just don't want to tell your personal business.
Man, you're the only one I get my name wrong. It's Bacchus.
Man.
Everybody else get
You know I don't speak Ebonics. Might be
not Ebonics or nothing.
Damn.
I'm cool on kicking it off. I had another meeting I forgot about, so I only got like half of it in the beginning and whatnot. The only question I had from Miss Georgia was, are you raising any boys by any chance? Just curious.
I have one.
Boy, man, teen.
19.
Man, he was a man 5 years ago. Right. So all the problems you've heard these gentlemen say, and he comes to you, as to a mother, letting you know these issues he's having. Are you going to be just as dismissive as you was for most of when these guys were saying what their personal experience was?
No, it wasn't. No, I'm not being dismissive. I didn't like it felt like it was applying to all women. I was definitely not being dismissive because I mean, a lot of it resonated from what I've seen. So I understand what you're saying, but it's not all women.
We understand it's never all. Nobody's ever saying all. Nobody ever says, yo, all. But sometimes just too many. In my personal experience, in my life growing up, in my life. Look, snakes are poisonous. Not all. But I don't have to say that. You know that not all snakes are poisonous. But that doesn't mean you're going to go over there and pet one to see which one this is. You wake up in the hospital and you're going to find out the wrong way. So I find he was kind of very dismissive, and that kind of hurt me right there because you're supposed to be the one to understand and kind of accept when we tell you our backstory or our experience that, yes, it's not all, but these things happen. And this is kind of one of the reasons why a lot of men won't even open up, because when we do, it's so dismissed. It's so, oh, whatever, man up. It's so not all, not everybody. I know this one friend. It's so like that doesn't happen. It just makes us, you know what? Forget about it. We're not even going to say nothing.
So Bacchus.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I definitely didn't want to come across as dismissive because I have seen it in therapy, but my issue was it felt like it was applying to all women. And my thing was, it's like, who are these women that you are around? Who are these women that you are allowing in your circle that you are feeling like you can't be vulnerable with? When you're dating a woman, the same type of relationship that you would facilitate with a guy, somebody that you can trust. Why is it this not being something that's present in your dating relationships? And that's what I was saying. Why does it feel like we got married and she changed? And I'm struggling with that because some of those signs had to be present in dating. Women don't just morph into this bitch when you marry her, So I definitely was not trying to be dismissive because I know it's accurate in what I'm hearing. I definitely know that. But I'm saying, why are these women being invited into your circle? That's all I'm asking.
If you believe, it's something in dating and they didn't just morph into it, it works the same the other way around. When a woman tells you about, oh, this guy ain't sugar honey iced tea. Well, was he not sugar honey iced tea after the third baby he had on you?
I agree.
Like what's up? Like, this didn't just happen.
Right.
But sometimes it's not even the women we're dating. It could just be somebody that we're working with, somebody we're in class with, somebody that we're interested in the same friend circle or friend of a friend. I'm interested in whatever. It doesn't necessarily always mean it's somebody we're dating, but when we realize, when us guys get together and have the barbershop to ourselves, because I get tired of seeing women in a man's barbershop, I'm just saying, we hear this guy telling the story and we swear he's peeping through my window because that's the same story I got.
Right.
So it's not just me. And when we hear that, it's like, yo, I thought I was crazy. you're having the same issues, and you live on the other side of town. I already know you from a can of paint.
Right.
It's not all. Like I said, there's just too many men are having these issues that we like everybody else here said. Growing up, you can't be depressed. You can't cry. I don't know. Some people with a Caribbean background, oh hell no, depression. They don't know nothing about that.
Right.
They'll beat the depression out of you. How about that? Like it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when you're raised in that environment, it's hard to be like, all right, 20, 30 years later, you know what? It's cool. You can talk about it. No, I've been programmed for the last 30 years not to. Now you tell me, man.
Right.
And yes, women would say, yes, I want my man to cry with me and this and that. And like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, as soon as you do. As soon as he do, she gone.
I bump my toe and just, baby, my toe. And she be gone. Like, that's the best way. But unless you've lived it, unless you've known it personally, you could never understand it. You say you have a child. I could never have that. I could never experience what that is. So I just have to take your word for it. I'll never dismiss it, belittle it, or say, hey, ain't nothing. You could have done that in 5 minutes. You were just out there screaming for 4 hours in labor because you were just being a little whiny girl. Like, come on. And do we really teach our daughters to listen to a man when he's vulnerable? Oh, nah, we gonna make fun of him. That one famous meme of that man, I can't remember what show it was, Vanna Saved My Life or something, where he's crying, really weird cry, whatever. It's viral. Everybody uses it in every meme. If that was a
Tyrese.
woman, it would have never gone past that show.
But that's what. But I don't mean to interrupt. But
No, I'm fine.
that's what I'm saying. I'm struggling with the idea of why are women getting to the wife status when this is somebody who's already shown you early on that you can't be vulnerable with them. I don't understand. That's what I'm struggling with, and that's what I don't understand.
Men choose women with their eyes and not their mind.
Yes,
and that is the issue that we are having. So as a man, you should be able to choose differently than saying she's cute, she got a big butt, nice smile, good hair, and she light-skinned it, or whatever we do. Those are the attributes we say are making a good wife, where we should actually be choosing another wife. And actually a woman does it too, where she says, oh, he made good money and he got 666, and that's what makes him a good husband. That is incorrect also. So we are choosing incorrectly, very incorrectly. But to go back to Bacchus was saying, and he was in Atlanta, Tyrese Gibson, when he got on, and Tyrese was crying. He was like, man, this hurt. The judge is doing this to me. The woman I thought I loved me doing this. She moved out. We made fun of him.
Right.
We made fun of him. What's the meme that you always see? The Michael Jordan meme where he crying.
I know.
So we, those are the things that we are dealing with as men, where if you're a man and you're saying you're vulnerable, we laugh at you, we cry.
Show me the meme of the woman crying.
Where he
Show
says,
me the meme of the woman crying.
Yeah, no cap. 95% of the females I interacted with have been positive. Please do not kick me out the manosphere. I've been the same way. I learned at an early age that I can't deal with that ratchet stuff and to get rid of it. No, but here's a lot of times
somebody other than Tyrese, please.
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
As black men, can we use somebody other than Tyrese? We can't. I'm sorry. The examples that we bring into these conversations are horrific. So
Krusty, who else? What other man do you know that is crying on television or crying?
That's
on
all the fuck he does is cry.
All right. See, there we go.
There is a space where I get it. Men should be able to cry, and then they need to know when to turn it the fuck off. Some of us don't. And then I think that becomes performative. Tyrese is very performative. So pick somebody else, please.
But I'm not saying that's wrong, though, Krusty. But if a woman, would you say that if that was a woman?
Depending on who it is, if it's a woman, if a woman is always And we have instances of women always being the victim, and we get exhausted of them. And I'm saying, if it's the same victim all the time, we get to a point as a society where it's reasonable for us to say, the problem is you. And Tyrese is in that area. So that, again, I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying Tyrese ain't that martyr.
I'm sorry, but it is a federal crime to hold a woman accountable for anything. Did you not know that, sir?
Oh, don't be like
No, it's not.
Okay. We're not listen, we're not going to deteriorate. Hold on, we're not going to deteriorate the whole situation, but let's do this. It was just a general statement. We're not going to use him anymore, but I'm going to stay on topic because we only have a certain amount of time with Georgia. And
no, I'm fine today. I learned my lesson last time.
Yeah, because I came up here to get an answer.
Yeah, Tyrese Gibson is maybe not the best example, but it was just an example just to get the point across. I wanted to hear from HB Gone Global because he's been waiting for an answer of some type, I guess, from something in the chat. You two have gone back on.
Yeah, so I mean, so there's a lot of things y'all was talking about that I didn't get a chance for you to hear, but what I did hear and you know what I mentioned, I said, you know, you can't tell women anything because they'll use it against you later on. And then you said something. I mean, you made a comment saying like, you need to talk to me or whatever. In that sense. So I mean, what, like, as if like that was not a true statement.
Are you talking to Georgia?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Well, I wasn't saying that it wasn't a true statement. Again, I'm validating everything that you all are saying. I'm struggling with the fact that these women are allowed to get to a status of girlfriend and wife. That's what I'm having a hard time with. Why are these women staying in your lives when early on, this isn't new? You can't tell me all of a sudden I couldn't be vulnerable with her. I couldn't tell her anything. No, that started in dating. So how did she even get to a girlfriend and a wife?
We know this from Jump Street. We know this as soon as we meet a woman, any woman. As soon as I see her turn that corner, I know from fact, oh wow, she's cute. I might want to holler at her. I know for a fact I can't be vulnerable.
So why take her to a girlfriend wife status?
Because I want something to put my dick in.
So
come on, I use a language.
Sorry.
Whose fault is that though?
It's a body function.
And it felt good, so you decided to take it to the next level. Whose fault is that? That's why I'm struggling with the fact I feel like the women are taking the blame for what's going on in these relationships. You set the bar for what you were willing to accept. If you had a chick that wouldn't go out with you because you wouldn't pay for a $500 meal, that's on you. If that's not something you're willing to deal with moving forward, then why establish that in the beginning? That's what I'm struggling with. I'm not invalidating your experiences. I know them to be true.
I'm not doing that, for one thing. You know what I'm saying? Once a chick talking about some, you know, if I first meet her and she talking about she want to go to this expensive steakhouse, like Fearless, wanted me to try to finesse the situation, which I wasn't trying to do. But I'm talking about, you know, when should we bring up being vulnerable in the situation before, you know, you saying, oh, you know, we should do that during dating. I mean, when is a good time?
Date longer.
To be vulnerable.
Date long. Why are we girlfriend these? Why are we being exclusive in 2 months? You know, really get to know. Hold on, because you asked.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Why not get to know these women? Like literally have some experiences together that challenge a relationship before you say, oh, let's go down the aisle. If you two can't get through difficult situations, she's not wifey material. She's not exclusivity material. That's what I'm struggling with. You all keep placing the blame on these women. You all set the bar in the beginning, and then you get pissed off when she shows you her true colors down the line.
You said you have some friends that husbands actually cry with them, correct? You said you know people that happens?
Absolutely.
Okay. My question is, at what point was it that he actually cried to them?
My guess is early on in the relationship.
Early on in the relationship, couple months.
Guys, I think what women do that we do not do, and women are good at, women shit test us. Women
all the time.
We don't do that with women. So we don't know. We are unable to determine what kind of situations she can handle and she can't handle. And so we've just made it a bed of roses. And then when things get rough, we wonder why she left. She was never shit tested in the beginning. We never knew what circumstances.
But hey, I want to get back on what I was saying. Okay.
Sorry.
So, nobody is getting pissed off. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's making these girls our girlfriends. I'm just saying it always comes to a point, even if you're dating, you know what I'm saying? You dating for a damn year or whatever. It still is going to get to a point where, you know what I'm saying, you want to be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? And they, you know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, once they display that, you know what I'm saying, they're not respecting you, then you kick them to the curb. But I'm saying though, every time, you know what I'm saying, I just can't get to the point where, you know what I'm saying, I can't, you know what I'm saying, meet a woman that's not taking me serious when I'm trying to be vulnerable and she's not using it against me.
Okay, so here's a question. At what point in the relationship do you all really start talking about, the things that your experiences in life that have hurt? Like, are you all not talking about that in the dating stage where you do?
Yes, I'm talking about in the dating stage because I like to get straight to the nitty gritty. A lot of men, they will say, "Oh no, why are you bringing up this stuff early on in a relationship, blah blah and all that stuff." But I go the opposite way. I like being honest. I don't, you know what I'm saying, like I don't play games with women. I don't run game on women. I'm straight up. You know what I'm saying. Either she gonna rock with me or not. That's my position. That's always been my position.
Okay, but does honest mean vulnerable? Just because you're telling her about what your life has been, are you being vulnerable? Are there things that you are emotional about, the things that have hurt you, the things that have challenged you? Are you talking about those things in dating?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking. I'm not saying about being honest about how many people your conquest. I'm not asking.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
about the things that have hurt you.
Yes.
That you really have to sit down and process. Are you having those conversations in dating?
Yes. And
I don't believe you.
I am having these conversations because this is what they're saying. When I get to the point, they're gonna always tell me, "Oh, who hurt you?" It's always shaming tactics every time. Don't project, you know what I'm saying, blah 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 and all this stuff like that onto me.
He has a statement.
They always saying the same thing. Don't project that onto me.
Oh, you okay?
Go ahead.
No, that is a very true statement. Who hurt you? You never hear that from nobody else but the sisters, most definitely. And going back to what I was frankly saying, you get vulnerable with one girl, and this is us growing up as young kids, learning who we are. The moment you tell a girl something and you seem weak to her, you ain't gonna have a chance in that neighborhood ever again because she's gonna tell everybody, and you're gonna meet a little punk around the corner who was crying on some girl's lap. You never have another chance
about this.
Huh?
And I would disagree with you, and I will tell you why. Because through the entirety of this conversation that I've been listening to me, I don't hear it in the gender language. I hear it in people. Because by the same way that you say that if you show that weakness and that woman gonna say that, I'm gonna tell you, among men, we're gonna say that too.
Yeah.
We're going to treat you the same. And that's just, I'm trying to be honest. I'm not coming to here because as men, if my guy came to me and crying about a woman, oh, you best believe he getting the business from us. So what I'm sitting there saying is, so the way I listen to it and I'm hearing it. So in these spaces, I hear men talk about being alphas. I'm an alpha. And then they'll put other men down as being beta or blue pill, right? So, and I'm like, and I ascribe to that. Hey, I'm beta, I'm blue pill. I love my woman. I'm a simp, whatever y'all want to call me. I could care less. But then what happens is, and I said that I think that some men are alphish, whatever you want to call it. But when you're in that space, you can't show weakness. If you are an alpha, you have to be an alpha throughout life. And unfortunately, you don't get to cry. Boo-hoo. You chose to put on that cape, then effing wear it. And if you're over here and I'm beta and a simp, I get to cry. Too bad. Everybody picks their lane. So it's weird because it's like I hear guys that are alpha, well, I want to cry. It's not an on and off switch because not only when alphas, when they go into A-type men, in the military, whatever. I'm sorry. They're born that way. They live life that way. They die that way. And they are that way. Real alphas, not all the ones who get on the internet that's blue pill and beta and play alpha to Monday and then be beta Tuesday. That's all I'm sitting there saying is so then if you are beta, blue pill, whatever y'all call us, then you have to accept that, look, my woman or the opposite gender has a say in the game. I hear what everything that you guys are saying, but I think part of it also starts with we need to identify where we are. And it's funny, we watch the movie, oh man, John Wayne, the cowboy, and I want to be that guy, but I'm not that guy.
Right.
If I'm not that guy, I'm not that guy. And it's okay to be who you are. If you're not alpha, it's okay not to be alpha. But you can't be going through life pretending to be something that you're not, and then crying because people aren't treating you what you're not. And then when you get into the space you are, you want to cry. Make up your freaking mind what you want to do. You want to be able to emote? Then accept that I'm in a role that gets to emote. And if I don't, then I'm in a role that doesn't get to emote, because the world is full of men who don't get to freaking emote. And they're on the front line living and dying for us. That's the truth.
But Rico,
every
you
man
dismissed
doesn't
everything I said earlier about. You dismissed everything I said about 22 a day.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. I did miss that
I'm
part.
just saying the 22 a day is those alpha men that are self-deleting themselves because they feel useless, helpless. They've come back hurt. So then those men still need to deal with the fact that even though they're hurt in the name, they still have to understand that mentality kind of has to change a little bit. And they're going to need to, for the first time, lower their egos and ask for help. And some men cannot do that.
Right.
Well,
so what I would say
before you answer that, Uncle Krusty, I want to ask this to the panel, and it's just to be real quick. How many men on the panel have suffered from depression? And if you have you reached out to somebody? And it can just be, yes, I suffered, and then I reached out. So let's
I
go.
have gone through therapy.
I probably have suffered, and I've never talked to anybody about it.
And the only thing I want to say is to Ronan, what you said was a very valid point. I think we need to create the space for these alpha men to do so. But I'm saying from all of my experience around these real true alphas, when they get lost into that space of being an alpha, it's hard to come back from. Right. So the only thing we can do as a society is say, hey, we're going to create the space for you to come over. All I'm saying is that all these guys that are sitting there, I want to be, I'm like, y'all are not true alphas, because you're the people who are, they're the 22 that Ronan's talking about. They're the 22 that can't come back, that can't express their feelings and their emotions because they're always in the game. And they're so to me, it's a little disrespectful when I see guys that are like, dude, you regular ordinary guy, respect your woman, you want to be hugged. I want to be hugged. I love it. I'm telling you, I'm a happy beta, but I'm not pretending to be something else.
But let's say that before we go around, even though you say you're a beta.
I just say it because they call me that.
No, man, I'll come to you because I'm going to ask that question. So, Ronan, you, depression, and have you spoken to someone?
I've been clinically diagnosed as having anxiety, depression, and PTSD from my service in the military and other things that I've dealt with. Gone through several therapies, been put on meds, and have currently and still dealing with issues derived from those diagnoses. But functioning.
But
Bacchus.
How hard is that name for you?
Yeah, I was diagnosed in 2009 for a little bit when I was going through training, and then I recently got re-diagnosed again more severely for depression, anxiety, and I actually just started taking meds about a month now. I think about a month I'm on them now. Yeah.
During any of that depression, I know you say meds, but did you reach out to somebody? Was there anybody you talked to?
No.
Hold on. Can I ask why?
I don't really have much. Okay, let me say yes and no. I did reach out to a few people, but they did not have the capacity to help in any way. So it's like kind of what I said earlier about if you have like a Caribbean family, like they don't really know nothing about that. It's reaching out to your mechanic about a water problem in the basement. He really can't help you. You're calling the wrong person. So didn't really reach out to those people much. But after that, then I end up getting on meds, and like I said, yeah, I've been on it for about a month now.
HB Gone Global, same question.
Yes, I have been diagnosed with PTSD and depression. I sought therapy twice. The first time it was a white lady, you know what I'm saying? I really didn't get what I needed from her because she was just basically just shaking her head, you know what I'm saying, to everything I was saying. And then the second time, recently this year, I sought therapy again, but this time I was looking for a black male therapist through the VA, which was kind of hard, but I eventually got one. But the thing is, I became his therapist. I'm like, bro, I didn't call you to listen to your problem. Even though the VA was paying for it, I still felt like, okay, you taking $300 an hour for me to listen to your problems. I'm like, hey, bro, this ain't gonna work. And he was still trying to like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna keep you in our system, you know what I'm saying, in case you decide to come back. In my head, I'm like, bro, I'm not coming back because you, bro, like I don't want to hear your problems. I call you so you can listen to me and my problems. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing with therapy.
So prior to a therapist, were there friends that you reached out to, like your circle of friends, to say, hey, man,
over the time I had friends, I had, my Marine pals and stuff that, I kept in contact, but eventually over the years, they started to fade away. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I was the only one trying to maintain these relationships, even though, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, they weren't trying to maintain. I'm like, damn, I'm the only one that's calling, you know what I'm saying? Reaching out to say hi. You know what I'm saying? Y'all never calling me to hit me up and say hi. And then y'all get mad at me because I don't call you. I'm like, it was a weird dynamic. So I kind of just like, let them fall away. I try to make new friends, but it's kind of hard trying to make friends with people who don't relate to you as far as like, having the same type of background as you have, because sometimes you have a different personality and a different humor, you know what I'm saying, that regular civilians are not used to. So, I try to find other veteran friends, you know what I'm saying, the people I can talk to and relate to.
So is it, and I've heard this, and I think this goes for everyone, is it that whether you were a police officer, whether you were in the military, or whether you were in prison, are those the only people that you can talk to, because those are the only people that understand your experience? Meaning, if you talk to a civilian about all the things you went through, it's like, yeah, they don't understand me. Hey, he couldn't really understand what I went through.
Well, my therapist was a civilian. She had no military training whatsoever, and she understood exactly what I was going through, and helped me down that road of because here's the thing with a lot of this stuff, it takes a lot of self-work. Okay, she can only guide you down the road. You have to do the work yourself.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
She can point and say, well, maybe you need to try this instead of that. How are you doing with consistencies on your day-to-day living? They look at signs to tell whether you're still in that level of depression, and maybe they need to tweak your meds a little bit, because going through these things, you actually have a chemical imbalance. Your body is off from these traumas. Yes. And that's what the medication is for, to get you back alignment chemically within the changes from that traumatic event that's happened to you in your life. So if you're not consistently taking meds, you're not consistently doing things in a repetitious mode, and you fall off of those things, it's a sign to them. So it doesn't matter whether you have military training or not when it comes to identifying signs, what's going on within their patients. Now, understanding our trauma, that's not necessarily what they're there for. The war fighting part and the death that we witnessed or incurred or did ourselves, that's not for the therapist to take on. That's for us to get in our circles and deal with that and kind of, accept that you did that under an order or you did that under some type of mission, and you just got to let it go. It's not for the therapist to go that deep with understanding, because most likely that therapist is going to have trauma on their own, having to realize everything that you have to do in those situations in order to come back home to even be sitting in that fucking chair.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? You don't want two traumatized people trying to self-diagnose and help each other. That's some fucked up shit.
Period.
You know, so yeah, that therapist should not be at the same level. You should not have an understanding of maybe some of the things you did, but be able to have a listening ear to hear
Objective.
what's going on and observing you and giving you positive objections on how to do the work in order to start fixing yourself. They're just a guide, you know, and that's the way it's supposed to work. You know, as a guide, it's not supposed to be. They need to understand every fucking trauma we've ever been through, because there's no way that any therapist is going to understand all the different traumas that can happen to anybody. And it's not just military guys, women that have gone through different things, other guys in the police force, the fire department. Can you imagine the type of therapist that would be sitting there listening to all these guys and understanding each and every little trauma that each one of them have gone through? There's no freaking way that's going to happen.
No, I think you misunderstand me, Ronan. What I mean is, when you tell a story, and you're able to tell a military story, and you say this is what happened, and I see it with, like, say, guys who are police officers, firemen.
I got
when
you.
some of the conversations,
I know exactly where you're going with this. Let me put this right.
Feel cynical.
I had a civilian.
Dude get shot. You know, they just talk about it.
Listen. I had a civilian doctor that actually told me the correlation when my mind actually snapped. It was a situation I was in the military. My last name is Foster, by the way. I don't give a fuck who knows it. Okay. My name went from Foster to Frosty. And that was a significant part in my military career that took me from where I used to be to where I started suffering so much trauma that my personality switched, and it was so recognizable by my unit. I was given that name. I didn't give my name that to me. When you're in the military, you're being given a name based on the way you react and you act in that unit. Okay, so I was given the name Frosty for a reason, because I just went fucking cold. I didn't give a fuck what was in front of me or who was in front of me. It didn't matter what fucking rank you had on your shoulder. Didn't matter anything to me. I moved you out my fucking way. So when that happened, that was an identity, and it wasn't anybody else but a civilian doctor that listened to what I was saying and what I was going through and identified that was a moment.
So, I mean, for me,
I didn't. Let me finish with Darnell and Old Krusty. I don't want to leave them out. Darnell, depression, and who did you talk to?
Yes, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, anxiety, PTSD. I currently go to the VA. I'm also a recovering alcoholic. I went to the VA's DOMSUD, substance abuse program, for alcoholism. I do talk to a therapist. I also take medication. Not consistent like I should be, but I do take medication. As far as the thing with the medication, I guess I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of times, especially with doctors, they just, they have this thing about pills, and I just, to me, it's nothing more than a drug, I don't like it. Like, a lot of time, I wish the VA, like, I found this out, especially being an alcoholic, you have vitamin deficiencies. Well, I found this out, that if you have a vitamin D deficiency, that can cause depression. I was vitamin D deficient for 3 years. Didn't know it. Had no idea. I did notice a major change in my mood. Although I had a lot going on, I had lost a good paying job. I dealt with a lot of racism on that job, and my ex fiance ended our engagement about a month after I lost my job. So, yeah, that caused a lot of trauma.
Just to let you know, the VA does prescribe vitamin D3, B12. They will give you holistic medicine if you ask for it. I'm a big advocate within the VA system to get holistic medicine. So for anybody that's listening and feel like you don't want to take some of those meds that they're trying to force down your throat, there are holistic treatments that you can seek and demand from the VA to give you. Go ahead.
So, old Krusty, you, sir. Depression, and who did you talk to?
No, I've never been diagnosed as anything.
Well, you're not diagnosed. I've never been diagnosed, but I'm sure throughout your life you felt some type of depression, or maybe you have.
I'm saying, I'm being an older gentleman. I have felt it. I've never sought out treatment for it, or even a diagnosis. So I'm trying to be transparent. I'm probably all messed up. I have no doubt about it. Like I said, I'm a baby boomer. So if you're born in my generation, we got some stuff with us. You just can't be a child of 64 and not be messed up. But we dealt with it the way we dealt with it was obviously, a lot of the new things that are going on today, they're new. They're more generational. We didn't do it. We didn't talk about it.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, old Krusty. I just want to not call you out.
Go ahead.
Forgive me for that. You've been divorced, right?
Multiple times, yes.
So when you went through that divorce, let's say the first time,
and
maybe she took the kids, maybe you had to take the kids, maybe you had to go through that. So you lose that love, or maybe they cheated somehow. There had to be some sense of loss, some sense of something. Yeah. So I'm going to use the word depression because that just does it. So you felt that.
Yes.
How did you deal with it? And I say that because you said, this is your words, not mine. You said, hey, I'm a beta.
I said what?
Beta, you said I'm a beta male.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So I'm thinking, okay, well, as a beta, then maybe you talked about it. But you're saying,
no.
You still didn't talk about it.
No. Because
so explain that to me. You're saying as a beta, I'm vulnerable. I've been through that, but I still didn't talk to anyone.
I think he was being sarcastic when he said that.
Because generationally, you couldn't. Because again, it was still viewed as a weakness. So what did you do? You suppress it. Same way you guys are talking about. We suppressed it. You self-medicate. These are the things that we did during that time. Because here's the thing, and I remember having this conversation with a son of mine that, it's like I got like 5 sons, one I'm estranged with. And I remember we were having this deep conversation, and he was like, but Dad, sometimes I get so, he was going through his own mental health thing. And I was struggling with trying to help him, but it was hard for me because he was like, sometimes I get so angry. I hear these voices. And I was trying to tell him that, like, look, boy, I hear fucking voices too. Because this is what we had to do. What I'm trying to tell you guys is this is what we had to do. And what I was trying to tell him was, I was like, son, I hear voices too, and I have to tell him to shut up. I have to self-medicate. And let me tell you why. Because I saw friends of mine who would openly admit to being weak and sick. And back then, they would take them away and I would never see them again. And that scared the living shit out of me. So when you admitted it, you go away and you fucking never came back. So you learn to shut your fucking mouth and deal with the shit you hear in your fucking head. Do you get help? No, because you don't tell nobody you need fucking help. Because that's the help you get. They would warehouse your fucking ass. So am I broken? Yes. Most people from my generation are broken because we didn't have the help that and I'm glad you guys are doing it today. but we didn't have it then. So that's a beautiful thing. I don't begrudge you. I am glad that you guys have that help, but it wasn't always there.
Right.
So you shut the fuck up. Women back then, women of color, you know, you would lose your ability to reproduce. You tell them you fucking sick. Go tell them, motherfucker, you was sick back in 64 and 65. And so, oh, okay, we got you. They put that reversible fucking white suit on your ass, and that's it.
You're talking about like that Arkham Asylum stuff, right? They took you to the...
that shit was real.
Right.
No, I get it, but that's the close. I don't know any real ones. That's the closest one.
They actually had padded rooms back then.
That was real. I'm from DC. It used to be called St. Elizabeth Hospital, the psychiatric hospital.
Okay, yeah.
Fucking friends went in there. We never saw them again. You just don't ask about them. New York City was full of it.
Quick,
all these major.
So
is that the same thing as if way, mind you, I don't know. I'm an 80s baby. It's the same thing as if you said that you like the opposite sex, they'll put you.
Yes, I mean just anything, because whatever they would put in, what is the DSM, whatever that psychiatric.
You became the science experiment.
Yes,
you became the science experiment, so you would never come back because they're experimenting on you back then, especially if you were black.
In America, they used to do frontal lobotomies on people.
Yeah.
You know, where they would take parts of your brain out. I mean, I was like, this isn't that long. I mean, it's been a period of time, but it's not so far in the past. But see, most of us, we ain't gonna pick up a book. We ain't gonna look in history. We're not gonna see what was going on. We're not gonna see the level of depravity. And a lot of this was government sanctioned.
Yes.
Or either they just looked the other way, even if they didn't tell you to do it, they pretended like they didn't see it. Anytime a young black man or young black woman got incarcerated, you were a fucking guinea pig.
Yep.
For them to experiment on of their own choosing. All of this, the Tuskegee experiment birthed so many other opportunities. Matter of fact, I'm here right outside of DC, Baltimore, all of these youth prisons that they had. And then Florida's full of it.
Yes.
They talk about in Florida, the youth prison where bodies are buried and they don't even know where they are.
Yeah.
This is in America. This is not this ain't Haiti or some other country. This shit happened here. Good luck talking about it. So I'm from that generation. There are people who are still alive who we know about this stuff. Right. That's how we're broken.
My question is for Georgia.
Sorry.
No, wait.
Fearless,
can I say something for a second? So, you know, in our master's program, we're taught not to show emotions, and I'm the exact opposite. You know, when I'm dealing with a client that is struggling, I don't have a problem with a tear if a tear drops. You know, I'm still human. I don't ever want to lose that. So when you're talking about this and the reason why a lot of Black men are broken in your experience, you know, it's different. Sorry. It's different when you study about this, but to hear you talk about your experience and the fact that you are aware that depression is something you've dealt with, but you just never got the help for it. You know, I thank you for sharing that, because I think so many men, and I have older men that come into therapy and they're terrified. And for you to share that experience and open up and be vulnerable, what we've been talking about, I appreciate that, because you have no idea how many men you just touched, because you talked about your experience and the fact that you haven't been diagnosed, but the fact that you know this is something that you've dealt with. That speaks volumes. That speaks more of what I can do, what active therapists can do when we have real people talk about, this is why I haven't gone into therapy. You know, and so I thank you for sharing that. You know, I really do.
My question is for Georgia, and I know we've talked about a lot of guys that are in the military and had this. as you know, you know more about me, so you know my previous profession and things I did. But what surprised me was there were youth in certain neighborhoods that would see people die right in front of them, and it would just be like another day.
Right.
And it I would almost traumatize me to say how callous and how I remember going somewhere where a girl, they were doing double dutch. And it was at the end of a cul-de-sac. And as I go down, they were like, oh yeah, somebody in that car, he dead. And I was like, how can 20 feet away, they're doing double dutch. They know because he was slumped over, shot in the back of the head, nonchalantly saying it. How do we deal with that type of trauma?
Yeah.
And I'm separating it different because I know that like with PTSD, it's almost like and I want to talk about both because it's almost like the government is training a person to be a certain way, to do all of this, to see that, and there's no decommission to come back.
Right.
But that's government.
So when I came back from Iraq, you know, I was numb to everything around me. I remember going to the club and there was a shootout. Everybody ducking and dodging, jumping behind cars. I'm still walking around like, you know, I'm like, where the shots coming from? But at the same time, I wasn't afraid. You know, maybe if I was younger, I probably been afraid, but you know, it numbed me to the point where I was like, you know, so I was real reckless, you know, especially in my youth. And sometimes I'm still reckless right now, and that's something I'm still trying to work through. Because you know, sometimes you meet people, you know, they think they don't know you, they think they can just play with you any kind of way. So you know, I'm still trying to deal with those demons, you know.
So you know,
I put something on the channel just for you, George. I think as you can see, there's a panel of men and people out there. I know you do it in your practice that really probably need some help that you know, maybe we are not willing to go to a therapist, so to speak, but probably need someone to talk to on an online basis. So you may want to consider what she's saying here.
absolutely. So I do want to address what you said, Fearless. You know, I do. My hope is that, you know, we will be able to do a separate segment on PTSD and men's sexual trauma. Because I think it's very important. And I think there's so much information just in those two categories that, you know, I don't feel we could do it justice today. But when it comes to PTSD and when you're talking about environmental trauma, you know, young boys who are growing up and seeing dead bodies on their way to second grade, that's a different level of trauma. So, you know, we're not just talking about depression, we're talking about PTSD. So it's a different ball game. So, you know, there's different ways to address that. There's different therapies to address that. But my hope is that we can do something separate that just addresses PTSD and sexual trauma when it comes to boys.
Yeah, I caught my first body at 4 in Baltimore, Maryland, just walking from my grandma's house to the corner convenience store. It was a drunk guy in a back alley from my grandma's house that I guess through the night had gotten an argument with somebody else. They had broke a wine bottle and he had the wine bottle stuck in his back. And he was just laying there dead in a puddle of blood. And I went in the convenience store and told the owner there was a dead guy in the backyard. I mean, in the back of his store. And that was at 4. So,
yeah, Georgia. You know, that's another good topic too about, you know, sexual assault with young men, with young boys, because it happened to me, you know, as a young age twice by 2 separate cases by 2 different women. And you know, at the time, you know, you condition to think, oh, that's something that's cool, that's something that's happening to you, but later on you realize like, hey, that wasn't normal.
Correct. And it happens a lot. And boys do not understand that they are victims of these older women. And, you know, we talk about the babysitters, we talk about school teachers or caregivers that are sexually abusing these boys. But at some point they are thinking, oh, this is a notch on my belt. No, you are now a victim of sexual assault. And it has how you deal with men and women moving forward.
I got a question for you, Miss Georgia. What do you think, like the role of media, like such as the American Pie movies, for example, if anyone remembers that series, plays a role in that stigma of a male, a young boy that went through this, is not a victim, but as you said, hey, that's now welcome to manhood kind of thing.
Right.
We're all guilty.
So American Pies, the one of the ones I remember growing up, with the Brat Pack was the whole Weird Science. Watching Weird Science as a child and then watching it as an adult, you're like, wow, this is sick. This was an adult woman. And
I literally watched that too.
Were presented as, teens, late teens. It was still a grown woman. And so, I think that social media in the movies early on, I think as we've gotten older, we have been more cognizant, maybe not responsible, but more cognizant of what sexual abuse looks like for boys and girls. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just remember when you might remember the name Mary Kay Letourneau.
Yes.
Yeah, I just remember the whole media circus about that whole thing, and everyone was like, as far as that 12-year-old boy, I just remember having talks about that, and it was like everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he's the man. He was only 12 years old. He's the man." This and that, and he was a victim the whole time.
But what I wanted to ask was, or wanted to say was, and absolutely, so HB, let me just first say, as an adult, as a human being, I apologize for what you went through, because even as a young boy, you shouldn't have went through that. I know we always pause and we sit there and we feel sympathy for when young girls go through, and I don't care if it was 30 years ago, yesterday, whenever, it shouldn't have happened to you as a minor.
Right.
No minor should be victimized by an adult, period. Irregardless of what their gender is, full fucking stop. If you're a young boy, if you're a young girl, I'm trying to take your ass out of this world. I'm sorry. That's the brokenness in me.
Right.
Because adults shouldn't be taking advantage of children, period. But with that said, we know there's a disparity between the boys and girls. So I get that. But what I'm saying is I want to speak to Darnell's point. Was when I look at here we are in this space, I think, Darnell, when you were asking why it's looked at that way as a notch in the belt for young boys with a woman, is because even as we as adults and say in this travel space, it still comes down to the objectification and the sexualization of the women. We always do that. So we're all grown men.
Right.
And we know how fools talk in this space. Let's not pretend. It's not, nobody's talking about women going overseas. It's overwhelmingly a 10-to-1 ratio of guys, whether it's in the DR, whatever country you pick it. So what I'm saying is that trickles back to, I'm not saying I don't take no responsibility, but I'm saying is until society takes the objectification off of the female body, then we can start to see it more equally. We're not going to ever see it equal that a 15-year-old girl, we're always going to see a 15-year-old girl with a 25-year-old man is wrong. But we're going to sit there and say that 15-year-old boy with that 25-year-old woman, yes, because we as grown men, right?
Yeah.
We as grown men think, oh, that 25-year-old man with that 15-year-old woman ain't nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying, Doc, you understand what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
Is that we have to. We just have to. We at least we need to think about it. We need to start to say that if the objectification is okay, then part of the part of the collateral damage
Yes.
is that there may be some young boys out here that are being objectified by adult women in
Yes.
the same way.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. Think about that. I'm thinking about the next HB that I don't somebody's 15-year-old son taken advantage of by a school teacher that's 25.
Yes.
It's a possibility, is all I'm saying.
It's
All right,
happened
my
more
question
times
is,
than not.
how do
now.
we-
But
how-
real
how do
quick, I
we-
just want to give D Ward a shout out. Appreciate your $5 super chat. Salute to all veterans. Thank you, sir. It was
Can I
our
ask
pleasure.
a quick question for each guest or panelist? What was the defining moment that brought you into therapy?
My second divorce.
Okay.
It was my divorce and going through the custody battle of my daughter.
Okay.
And then I mean at work also dealing with non-black people being passive aggressive, using that type of language, they gaslight you and stuff like that. So it was kind of like a pot, what I'm saying, starting to simmer, what I'm saying, like a pressure pot. So
For me, it was 2009. I had a tendency to blow up on people. Basically, kind of have. Basically, I kind of like take. I hate to use the term, but I guess you could say I fit the profile of the school shooter profile.
Okay.
Where you take people, you take people's.
Get
Darnell,
demonetized.
clean that up. Clean that up, Darnell.
Oh, Jesus. It just
Ooh.
don't say school and shoot don't say that at the same time, please. Don't do that.
Oh.
Apologies. I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
But basically, what I'm saying, but you guys understand what I'm trying to say, right? Is that
Yeah.
I take a lot of crap and then I have this reaction where I explode and
Rage.
Yeah, exactly. In my case, I was quick to fight. Nickname I had was Mike Tyson. I was just quick to fight, and it could be anything. Somebody, like one of my trigger words, for example, somebody used to call me, if you called me a bitch 15 years ago, that was one of my trigger words that would set me off. And so 2009, it was getting me into a lot of trouble. So I decided to seek help through the Army, and I continued later with the VA. I continued with the VA, and it was about, I would say, 2017. That's when I had the PTSD moment.
Okay. Bacchus, were you in the military? What was your time?
No, I was never in the military. Most people think I was, just the way I travel, but no, I was never.
Right.
What
was the time that triggered you into realizing you needed therapy, since you weren't in the military, but you also recognized you had gone through something?
Say that one more again.
What was the moment that caused you to want to seek therapy for whatever that was bothering you?
My parents always told me I needed to. I don't think I have an exact moment. I've kind of been living with it my whole life. So it's kind of either just brushing it off like it's nothing. I just had a bad day, whatever. But as I got older, I could kind of look back and see where I messed up and realizing I was in something here, there, etc. I ended up having like a full I went to a particular school and I needed to get a full eval, blood, everything, psych eval. And when I got the psych evals, when they told me I had depression, that's when I said back in 2009, and they said I couldn't go to school with the depression, so they put me on meds, and kind of went off it like that. But When I really decided to actually fix it was this year, because everything I've done to try to evade my depression
Doesn't work.
not working.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, it works for a minute, but I didn't realize that my depression has a passport too. So Emma was right there next to me.
Yes, sir.
So
A lot.
my major thing, I think I might have told one of y'all, but my major thing that I did beginning of this year, I actually went down and I did ayahuasca, and that really helped. That opened my eyes to a lot of things, and that's how I started getting into fixing it this year. So
congratulations.
I actually got to put my finger on. For most people, when you tell somebody, yo, I'm just depressed, the first thing they ask is, what are you depressed about? I don't know. If I knew, I would fix it. I don't know. I just am. And when I did ayahuasca, I was actually able to put my finger on, oh, okay, that does make a lot of sense. So yeah, I wouldn't say a defining moment, but a lot of things in life I went through. And just looking back on it, yeah, I could tell the times I was in it, I was out, etc.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
I just
Darnell, let old Krusty go, please.
Yes, sir.
Good. What do you guys want? I'm not in therapy. I haven't had therapy. I told you guys.
Yeah.
I absolutely, and I do have. I have a son that's a professional therapist. So I've raised children that are in the space. He won't be my therapist, of course.
Well, obviously he wouldn't.
He's got issues with
on.
me.
Yeah, he wouldn't take you on anyway.
It's funny,
only we do one in Georgia.
The funny thing about it is, I've learned so. I have a son and a niece who has a PhD from Virginia Tech. I mean, I have so many professional mental health specialists in my family, and believe it, this is really weird, guys. You're not gonna believe it. These professionals will come to me oftentimes, just for like my common sense stuff, and I'd be like, it's weird. And I'm like, why y'all asking me? Y'all went to school for all this.
Because common sense ain't common sense.
Yeah.
Sure
So my niece, who's a PhD, and she's like, we listen.
Book smart does not mean life smart. That's
and
what
it's really weird. And I do need help. I will never tell anybody for a second. I'll have to get there in my own way.
What
I
is
know that
from going and talking to somebody?
Yeah, and I have a lot of things. So they're actually guiding me there.
Okay.
But I'm close.
Do you think this helped you? Do you think this live helped you?
At the same time, I'm learning a lot of stuff from them, and I'm always pushing and promoting mental health, because these young people have opened my eyes to it, and I came from a space where we were afraid of it, especially as Black people. We were scared because, like most things, we didn't think we could trust it.
Right.
And I still have a lot of that in me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm happy to hear this conversation. I'm happy that my sons, I don't want them to have that fear of mental health that I have, but it's still in me. I'm scared that I'll go and I'll tell them, and y'all won't fucking see me again.
No.
That's still in me. I'm still scared of that. And that's what's keeping me from going.
Well, you got a guy. Here's the thing. You got a whole bunch of guys sitting on this panel that has gone through it. We're still here. We're still talking about it. Me. I understand, baby steps. I understand that, but you got confirmation sitting on this panel right now of people that have gone through therapy and have survived. We're coming back home. We're not staying and we're not disappearing. You get what I'm saying?
So I don't want, but I'm gonna drop it because again, I don't want people to be afraid of it. I just want people to understand that fear of that, like the fear of a lot of other things that we went through, it's real for a reason. We, people who look like us, we're fucking scared for nothing.
Oh, I know.
For a lot of things. And I don't show a lot of vulnerability, even being a beta here. But God damn it, it's like pick a lane. And I'm just saying. So I'll do more effort trying to talk to people in my generation. It's like, bro, I understand why you scared. I'm scared too. Let's be scared together. You know, rather than
Cressy, what can make this feel safer for you?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What can make this feel safer for you?
Did he freeze?
No, I'm just thinking.
No,
just like,
I gotta see you move.
As a therapist,
right.
You know, you're very valid in how you're feeling.
Yeah.
As a therapist, I want to know, how can we create spaces where people who have seen what this has done in the past, how can we make this feel safe?
Right. And I want to give you an answer. You know, I really do. I want to give you an answer as to, and thinking to myself, what would make me think that, okay, we can trust them.
Right.
Or, you know, someone else, you know, like I can trust them. I'm gonna take a chance, Mr. Charlie. We used to always say Mr. Charlie. Mr. Charlie not gonna fucking take you away, or someone else. And I don't feel it. So I'm not ready to propose it. I don't know today.
Okay.
Doctor. I just don't know right now today. I'm just in this conversation saying why some of us feel this way and why I feel this way, or at least why I feel this way. Some of us there are people who moved, of my generation that moved, but I know there's plenty of us that still back here. I'm not back here by myself.
Absolutely.
I'm not back here by myself. And some of us gonna leave this earth back here, and I might be one of them.
My hope is no.
Well, hopefully not.
But I might be, is what I'm sitting there saying is, so I'm not saying, and I don't want anybody to listen to me. I'm glad to have the conversation with you to be able to say, you know, to give maybe an explanation as to why. So when people go, oh yeah, I'm like, yeah, and this is why we're broken.
Right.
But go ahead, continue.
I just want to say a couple things because I do want to talk about some of the resources before we wrap up.
I was going to say mine, if that's all right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to know Fearless's. No, Fearless don't get off. We need to know Fearless's little.
Yeah, so I'll say this from Love So Chick. She says, I love your vulnerability.
Lock So Chick.
Locks. Man, you know.
I know.
College, I got that.
Did I say Lock So Chic? Not
Locks
chick.
That my sorry,
Chic.
Lock So Chic. Sorry.
Let me correct you.
Thank you.
Yeah. She says, hugs.
And that's probably your friend too.
Oh, Krusty. So, Krusty, you not alone in this sense. As you can see, you not only got the people on the panel who are supporting you, but we got the people in the comments that are.
Right.
If she loves your vulnerability, she will hate me then. Because I know that I've seen things, done things, been through shit that most people on this panel don't know. I know probably Georgia only knows a few of it. And because of that, I've always looked around and then I looked at myself and there was nobody there but me. And every single time I had to solve those issues by myself. So there was I've never been to any type of therapy, never wanted to go to any type of therapy, never felt the need because it always seemed as though I had to solve my own issues. And it seems that's what I did. I was put in situations where I've been the height, I've been at the low. And at
Right.
each point I looked around and there was nobody there but me. When people say, can you call on this person? People even, they say, can you call them? Nah, probably not. Can't, nah,
No.
nope. And I look around, and we had that discussion when I was down in Atlanta and seeing you, Georgia. We said, you talk to your brother? Nah. Yeah, nope. Nope. Because I'm thinking, who is there when I've actually needed someone? And the only person who has been there has been me. And since you know a little bit of my story, I don't really share it here. When I've been at the depth, when I had to go from the top to the lowest, at the top, it was like, I looked around. It was like, yeah, maybe people celebrated. And then people wanted to see you fall. And I looked around. It's like, yep, it's just me. And when you are in a place where you feel that no one can do it but yourself, you start to, when I say self-medicate, I don't mean by drugs or anything. You just start to find a way to solve the issue. And I was like, I got him. There's no retreat. I never had a safety net. I never had a way that something was going to help me. Somebody was going to swoop in. It was like, you either do it or you don't. And that's why I tell the story of the captain who sailed to another land. And then when they got there, he burned the ship. He said, you got one choice. You got to live or you got to die. Fight or die. And I've always felt that I had to fight or die. And it's like, that's why I don't show any vulnerability. I've never had to show that. And people always say, you don't really show emotion, when you go up. So people who really know me always, if you compare somebody to a superhero, would be like Batman, where it's just, you don't see, I don't go through emotional highs. I don't go through emotional lows. I'm basically just even keel. And that's how it is. It's like, there's no use in getting too happy over something because at any moment the life can change. There's no use in getting too sad because I know that the life can change. And I know it affects me because I know the reason I save money because I was poor and I know what that feels like. And I keep money because I'm like, I don't want to go back. You knew me back then when I was like, I knew every happy hour and every coupon there was in the city because I knew what it was like not to have. And I always had the mentality of being in a position of not having or having to depend on someone else. So when people say you don't depend on no one, I always thought that I can't.
So why won't you cry?
Hold on. Let me go through this real quickly.
I don't want to know why you won't cry.
Like I've always helped people out, but I'm always afraid to ask for the help.
Fearless.
Somebody says, I need you. Somebody needs help. Oh man, I got you. I got this. Fearless. But I've always been afraid to say,
Fearless. Hold on. Stop talking. Stop talking. Okay. And I'm going to call you to the table.
Mm-hmm.
I told you about my life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I told you what it took for me to do what I had to do. Right now, I know you're not in that situation. I've told you about the guy that makes almost $1 million a year. The last child moved out his house and what happened to him. I'm going to tell you this now. If you don't seek help early and now, because we're going through these therapy sessions, you're going to need it at another time. But you need help. You need to be able to release everything that you've been holding on to feel like you cannot rely on anybody. And I get that mentality, that dogged mentality, complete your mission, go from one mission to another. I got to achieve. I've always been a high achiever. Executive level in corporate America, top Fortune 100 companies. I've done all that. And guess what? I gave it all the fuck up. I went to nothing. All my clients, 3,000 clients, running agencies, training people. I gave it all up. Because when it came down to me or death, I chose me. Sooner or later, you're going to get put in a situation where you're going to have to choose yourself and to start doing some therapy on your own. And now that we're having these type of sessions, and I think now would be a good time while your daughter is right before she gets born to start going through therapy and dealing with some of those things you have repressed. Because you are, listen. And I can tell you because it's the same way. I was very robotic. And your personality is very robotic.
and he wasn't.
When I
always
first
like
got out of the military, I was just like this. You couldn't get me to smile. You couldn't get me to do anything. I was fucking very analytical. I could spit shit out all day long. And I was a high achiever. But I would never let myself emotionally get attached to a damn thing. And you can't do your wife. You can't do your wife or your child like that.
I know that's me, Ronan. I will say that is me. 2 phrases I can say. When they say what goes around comes around, I'm like, I can't stop, because whatever coming around is going to catch me. And if I stop, it's going to catch up. That's 1. Number 2, and I live by this, and my friends have always said this to me. I live by that phrase that is in the movie. Man, I just forgot the name of the movie. But he says, never hold on to something that you can't let go of in 30 seconds or less. When the heat, that's the name. When the heat is around the corner.
Yeah.
And I've always had that where I never get attached to anything, because at any time I can lose it. And people
That's
always
not
say,
the way to live your life.
Because I'm like, I'm not attached to it.
Right. That's not the way to live your life.
I'm like, yeah, your dog died. Yeah, he did die. But shit happens. So I never get attached to anything. And maybe that may be my issue.
Yeah.
And I know that at a time.
Can I offer him a bit of advice? Fearless is okay. What you described to me it sounds like an alpha male, right? So I'm going to put you over in the alpha column. Just for shits and giggles. You might be beta. I don't care, but whatever. But if you feel like you're that, because you think that's what you are, I can't. I got to do everything. Because I hear that, right? I hear in the conversation, I can't count on anybody. I'm here. I'm there. I can't. No one. Okay. Then release that to another alpha. Mm. So who can an alpha cry to? Another alpha. Find another alpha. Ronan, a brother in arms that you can say, hey, I fought the good fight. I have to lay down my sword. I can't go any further.
I'm tired.
That's what a warrior does. Every warrior lays down his sword, but he lays down his sword for another warrior to pick up and carry on the fight. So if you're an alpha, like Ronan is saying, you can't keep doing this shit. Drop your sword to another alpha. Talk to Ronan, whoever else, not fucking me, anybody else, because I'm a beta, but talk to another warrior. And
I wouldn't word it that way, but I get what you're saying.
No, but I'm saying is lay down your sword and confide in that brother and say, look, man, I just sometimes, and that's who you emote to. Because as a warrior, if I'm a warrior, I can emote to another warrior because I know that warrior understands. And then if I'm not done, I can get recharged. I can go forward. But don't, and the problem is just keep it all within yourself repressed. And your batteries run dry. When your batteries run dry, it's got to get recharged some fucking where. So talk to your brother in arms. Warriors have brothers in arms. So whether that's Ronan, whoever else, and you know what? Not only should you go to him, not only should you go to Ronan as a brother, you need to be there for him when he needs to come and fucking.
Oh, we talk offline all the time. I just
exactly.
This is the first time I heard him in this story. He's heard me tell him things. So
that's all I'm saying.
He's feeling comfortable enough to share that, but at the same time, we're gonna talk offline. You're right about that.
But see, the thing is, Ronan is not an alpha though. He's a sigma. So stop calling him an alpha.
There's nothing wrong with the sigma. I would rather take the sigma than the alpha. To tell you the truth, I'm a puppeteer. I work from the background. I don't need to lead from the front.
I'm the broke fraternity.
I do want to share some resources, and my hope is that our next session we can talk about the PTSD and sexual trauma. But I do want to talk
We
about a
want
couple
to, but Ronan wants to talk about son husbands next time.
No,
yes, sorry. Son husbands, and we'll do PTSD.
No, we can do the PTSD if you're feeling more driven to that. I know you don't want to test that son husband. I
don't mind. That's a
I
thing.
know you just do not want to test that.
I
That's
do.
breaking the girl code. Breaking the girl code.
Yeah, I'm ready for this.
Do that.
No, let's do
break
that
the girl
next
code.
time.
I want to see them facial expressions. You know what I'm saying?
So what are you taking on as far as what your next topic will be? Do you want to do the PTSD first, then the son husband, or do you want to go ahead and tackle the son husband?
I would like to do PTSD / sexual trauma in men.
Okay.
And then at some point I would like to do sexual trauma in women. But I wanted to talk about just, therapy and getting into therapy and the things to consider when you are looking for a therapist and when you are going into therapy. Number one, somebody had mentioned the vitamin D deficiency.
Yeah,
It's such a key because part of my intake process is asking men and women, when's the last time you had a physical?
Especially Black people.
Yes, especially because men in particular are terrified to go to the doctor. And so when is the last time you had blood work? We need to start talking about the HIV/AIDS testing more. We need to start talking about colonoscopies.
Absolutely.
We need to start talking about prostate cancer. We need
diabetes.
to start talking about all of it. And so my intake process is, when's the last time you had a physical? And we need to get that scheduled, because so many of the mental health issues, specifically depression and anxiety, it's what's going on within our bodies. It's what are we afraid to know. And if we're afraid to get the colonoscopy, if we're afraid to get the blood work, that's playing into our mental health. Yes. So we need to talk about that. And men in particular, and women, but men in particular, we need to go to the doctor every year. We need to be having our dental cleanings, because that is heart health. People don't understand your teeth is connected directly to your heart.
You know what?
Talk about it. So our diet and exercise, do you have a regular routine? You don't have to be out there lifting 700 pounds a day. No, go for a walk every day for 45 minutes to an hour. Get the regular, do it. Brush your teeth. What are we doing? Scrape your tongue. All the things. Those are the things that are impacting our mental health. How are you eating? How much are you drinking? Are you smoking cigarettes? Are you smoking marijuana? Are you addicted to marijuana? Yes, that's a thing. So I want
drinking too much alcohol.
Too much alcohol.
Yep.
Do you start getting jittery when you're running low? Those
Ninja, do you have apples in your alcohol?
So
you are beta.
Limes.
Oh, okay.
I'm an advocate of wine and all of the above. So we'll just in moderation. So part of the intake process for me is talking about, again, when's the last time you had a physical? How much exercise are you getting? What do your sleep habits look like? What is your self-care? What do your hobbies look like outside of work? If your life is all work, we already have a problem. So those are the things that we talk about in the intake process. And I always tell people, if within the first 2 sessions you are not feeling it, find another therapist. You don't have to be obligated to keep an appointment with somebody that you're not clicking with. Okay. It's like going to dinner with somebody you are not feeling. Don't do it. Don't do it. Say no. So if you don't click with a therapist within the first 2 or 3 sessions, find another therapist. This is for you to get better, not for the therapist to get better. Okay. Resources. Psychology Today is my go-to to find a therapist in your area, and you can filter down to whether or not you want male, female. You can filter down to insurance, to your specific topics, grief, anxiety, depression, bipolar, transgender, lesbian, all the things. You can filter down with Psychology Today. It's within the entire United States. That's what I'm on, Psychology Today. So I want to talk about the books, because there are things that you can do. I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist. A lot of my work is side of therapy. I'm big on homework. People will tell you, I'm going to assign homework every single session after the first session. I want you to read. I want you to look for resources that are going to support whatever you're dealing with. So I want to talk about this because I want to start thinking about this for our next session. This is Victims No Longer. This is for men who are survivors of sexual abuse. I use all of my men who have been sexually abused as children or as men. And I think it's important. You can find it on Amazon. You can go and Google it and find it.
Who's the author so I can look it up on Amazon? Put the link in.
Mike, and the last name is Lew, Lew. And it's Victims No Longer, the classic guide for men recovering from sexual child abuse. So I definitely want to talk about this more during our next session.
I'll try to put the link in my description for anybody that's interested.
Awesome.
I'm going to put a link also.
Okay, so another one that that starts off for my men and women is Beginning to Heal. And this is also for a first book for men and women who are sexually abused as children. So this is what I start all of my clients who have sexual trauma. I start them off with this book.
And who's the author of that book?
The author of this book is Ellen Bass and Laura Davis, Laura Davis. And they are also where we go for women. After this Beginning to Heal, we will venture off into the Courage to Heal. And we'll talk about this more during our sexual abuse topics. But I just want to put this out there now because these are things you can do on your own. The author is also Ellen Bass and Laura Davis. And this is for women survivors of childhood sexual abuse. My next book is what we're talking about today, which is anxiety. We didn't talk much about anxiety. We talked a lot about depression. But this Stop Overthinking, I assign this to most of my clients who deal with anxiety. This is awesome. And
that phrase is used overseas a lot in Asia.
Oh, is it?
Because my girlfriend uses that phrase, just stop overthinking.
Overthinking, anxiety.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
This is by Nick Trenton, and this is 23 techniques to reduce stress, stop negative spirals, declutter the mind, and focus on the present. And I use this with most of my clients that deal with anxiety. And then the final one, and at some point I do want to talk about grief, is It's Okay Not to Be Okay. This is by Megan Devine, and I use this with all of my clients that deal with loss. This is an awesome book to talk about. There's no way or no time period to deal with grief. And, you go through it in your own way and you go through it in your own time. And some people, it takes a couple of years. Sometimes it takes 20, 30 years. But this is really just talking you through the process of grief.
Yes.
And
I think we don't deal with that. I've seen old men, 80 years old, talk about their mom and still cry. And you think, man, their mom died when they were 20. And this is 60 years later, and it's still some trauma.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle. So with the men, I'm hoping that this can be our next topic because sexual abuse, especially, I'm going to focus on African-American community. Sexual abuse in the African-American community is very prevalent. And most victims become predators. And whether it's a childhood predator or an adult predator, most children who are victimized as children will become a predator at some point in their life. It's a natural progression of being sexually abused. And I think we need to talk about it more because this also talks about sexuality and all the things that men deal with that have been abused as children by either men or women. So, I mean, today, this was a lot more than I thought. Crusty, I'm picking on you. Your vulnerability, and that's what we've talked about today, is I talk about this so often in therapy with minority men. We need to see men who are older talk about their fears about therapy, so that we can have these conversations and get men to a point where they're okay with taking the first step to talking to somebody. And even if it's a family member that you're comfortable with and safe with, that you can start those conversations and then transition into truly getting some support and some guidance in working through your issues. We need it.
Well, I will say this. Like I say, being an older gentleman, again, like I said, I know I need help with, and be honest with you, like I said, I'm not just an older gentleman. I'm an older married man. My wife probably wish I would get a bunch of help. She's, oh Lord, I'm not even gonna let you talk to her. She probably like, hey, he need help there, right? So I'm not even gonna tell you that that's not the case. My kids, everybody. This is a me thing. It's not a that my extended family don't wish that I would. It's I struggle with it. It's an internalized thing. And I'm open to having, I didn't expect to come up here and have this conversation with you, so I am as surprised about it as you are. So you've opened my mind to like, I have a lot of things, parents have passed, sibling, just like you can just imagine the plethora of issues that exist. Maybe some of the younger folks don't get it, but older people, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. It's not anything that's overly complicated. I will say this for the benefit of this show. I'll put my information in the back chat. If you want to reach out to me, we can reach out and we'll continue the conversation. And, I'll put my phone number and my email in the back chat and you can reach me. And I would love to conversate with you on your channel, whatever, because I don't want to take away from Fearless and Ronan and them tonight.
Well,
is that fair?
Rusty, she don't have a channel. We're trying to get her there.
What, you don't even have to have a channel, but I'm just sitting there saying is, if you wanted to, I don't want to take away tonight because I don't know what we're doing here.
Well, you didn't take away.
We did exactly what we were supposed to do.
Yeah. Let me say this, guys, and this is really sincere. And I think me and Ronan have really done a lot of soul searching. And we are all, everybody, probably except Georgia, because she hasn't been in here, are guilty of this. When there's drama, we get on those channels. We talk about, the female Africanist, the feminist. We talk about the passport, bro. We get on all that drama. We ingest it. We live with it. We argue about it. We talk about things that do not matter. Who cares? Anything. But really, these are the discussions that we need to have. These are the impactful things. And I'm trying to make a change and go in a different direction with like the channel. It's fun to talk about those things. And we talk about it's fun, but we're not really helping anybody with that. We're not making a change. We're not doing anything. I've gotten off of 4-hour long podcast thinking, what the hell did I just do? Or what did I say? And what came out of that? Nothing. There was nothing there. I changed no one and made no impact on anyone. And I think that's where we need to go. We can have the fun, but if we are not having these discussions, it is our fault because we all get on those panels. And if you have 1,000 people talking about garbage, people go to the garbage. And then you have 5 people talking about good and nobody comes there. It makes people think that no one wants the good and the help. And as we just showed, everybody on this channel is suffering, on this panel is suffering with something. Everyone needs some kind of help, some kind of outreach. And so what are we doing to make that change? Why are we making the drama and the dramatic stuff popular when this should be the popular stuff that we should be going to?
Right.
So I really appreciate Georgia coming up and talking about this. I know we kept you long, and sometimes it's gonna go like that.
Appreciate it.
When
I
we
got a
preach and,
video that I got one.
The Holy Spirit in you, the preacher can't let you out. You know, we got to go a little long.
Got to sit down. Got to do one more Holy Ghost dance. Hold on, I got a video that Drew wanted to share with us. He dropped the link, and he usually gives us good content to refer to. So he had this in mind for us to play. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it. See if you guys can hear it.
No, I don't. You didn't press when you share. There's a little tab that'll say play audio. So make sure you go back and then.
Oh, okay. Hold on one second. Let me try it again.
It'll be at the bottom.
It's share
right.
screen.
And then play audio at the bottom right.
Yeah, it's already clicked. Also, share tab and audio.
Share the tab instead of the entire screen. Like when you share, don't share the screen, just share the
right. Like that?
I don't know if you don't hear it and you want to give me the URL, I can play it.
Yeah, hold on. Let me try it one more time. Can you hear it?
Nope.
All right, I'm gonna send it to you then.
Throw that URL in there in the back chat.
Yeah. So while we wait on the video, Miss Georgia, I just wanted to comment. You had asked a question earlier. You know, why men pick those kinds of women. Okay.
No, go ahead, Drew. I mean, and Darnell, you still got to download it real quick while you're talking.
Oh, okay. So basically, as I said in the super chat earlier, you got to understand that men seek to qualify, and I said, well, women seek to disqualify. And what do I mean by that? Basically, what I mean is as men, we tend to ignore the flaws. You got to understand, and I'm just going to speak as an average man, not an alpha male or the top 10% of man or whatever, but just the average man. A lot of average men have a scarcity mindset. So when it comes to dealing with the opposite sex, it's a lot of times it's hard. I mean, you can get dismissed simply by wearing the wrong kind of, the wrong pair of shoes. Woman, oh no, I can't deal with a man wearing them kind of shoes. You know what I mean?
Darnell,
yes, sir.
Question. And before you ask Dr. Georgia, I had asked Ronan and Fearless earlier, because again, because I think Fearless had said it was like women seek to disqualify, and I asked the question, he didn't. I was like, well, but do not men do the same thing? Women disqualify financially, right? Because that was the characteristic. Oh, you don't make $100,000 6 feet tall. But I'm like, but do men not do the same thing? But we base it on something else, i.e., looks, weight, ability to have children. Whatever the characteristics are. So realistically, both genders, again, and this is just my thoughts. I'm not saying that I'm right. I could be totally wrong. Tell me shut the fuck up, I'll run away. But both genders are doing the same thing. But we're, as a man, I'm saying I don't care about your money. I care about your look. I care about your weight. I care about whether or not you can have children. Women are saying they don't care about those things. They care about my money. We're both doing the same thing. We're both picking something different. So
the difference is, Krusty, is we disqualify baby from marriage, nothing else. Meaning that woman who is overweight, not very attractive, who are 5, she can still get a man.
Okay. So the question is, you said we disqualify for marriage. What is the concept of? Is it still downloading? I just want to make sure, because we're done.
No, I'll play it whenever you finish.
Okay, so quickly, real quick. If we're again, now when we sit down, we say the concept of marriage, right? Who places the value of the concept of marriage? Is it men or women?
Men.
There you go. Okay, so let's okay. So again, we're creating an unfair dynamic because men.
But what happens, Uncle Krusty, is this: that woman who was that 5, who can sleep with that 8, all of a sudden thinks that her value is at an 8. So she automatically disqualifies anyone lower.
Okay,
So,
no, but all I'm saying is that like a woman is not less worthy because here's the thing: a woman is a woman.
mm-hmm.
A married woman or an unmarried woman is the same thing. They're both women. They're both women. Marriage is just a title. It's nothing else. The value of the woman is the same. I don't give a damn if she's married to 100 people or she's never married. The value, so if I bought a cow, a married cow and an unmarried cow is still a cow. That's all I'm saying. Men, we say, oh, she's unmarried, and that
we can't use cows as a variable because cows.
Well, I just used that
sexual marketplace value.
Yeah, because I mean that doesn't have nothing to do with anything. I'm gonna tell you. Hold on. This was going on. I'm gonna tell you right now. Listen, there was something I wanted to bring up earlier. Now, you know, I used to mess with this young lady back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So we got
one second. Georgia, tell me a time that you got to get off so I know where we.
No, I'm good.
I'm going to be real quick. So I'm not long-winded like that. So, you know, but please ask me to fill in the gaps. So I met this, we reacquainted last year and we was talking, you know what I'm saying? I used to get the milk without buying the cow. Now she want me to buy the cow now.
Referencing cows.
Damn it. Hey, listen. Hold on. I'm saying though, now that okay, all right. I say, all right, both of us, I say I'm established now. I'm what I consider myself, I can provide if need to. You know what I'm saying? My whole thing is I'm like, okay, why is she trying to put all these high expectations on something like, oh, like, hold on, you trying to make me wait for what? I'm like, I'm telling the mentality has changed. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just imagine like me meeting her and I didn't have no prior experience to her. Now she's putting all these, look, that's what I'm saying. Like, as an older person, especially when a woman that's the same age as me or close to age as me, that expectation, I'm not trying to hear them at all. Because I'm like, damn, I'm like, you doing this with me, and I know you. You know what I'm saying? That's the crazy thing about it. That's why it's hard for me to try to be in relationships with any women with these crazy expectations, especially like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, especially we had prior dealings. So I'm like, what are you talking about?
The best analogy, if you say it, is like this. When the man was 20, he was rich. And now that he's poor, he think he can get the girl. So that girl, in the same way, the girl is very beautiful. And now she became not as attractive older. Now her expectations have gone up. So that poor man had the rich man had no expectations. And all of a sudden, that poor man was like, you got to be able to cook, clean, take me out. He got a list of all these things. And you're like, brother, you work your minimum wage. How can you have these expectations? That's how we look at it. Because if you met me and I had a lot of money and now I have nothing and I have all of these requirements,
the top of the mountain. Men are born in the valleys around it. A man is judged on how high he climbs. A woman is judged on how far she falls. Men have much to gain. Women have much to lose. A man has to prove his worth. A woman has to preserve her worth. Masculinity is built and femininity is preserved.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what y'all talking about right now.
That's not all.
Because
I want a woman's perspective. That's what I want right now. Because I love it when women come on panels. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm talking about. I'm saying like you. I mean, okay, you used to date somebody, you know what I'm saying, years ago,
Well, we're
You know
not
what I'm
getting
saying?
personal. She's a therapist, man. We're not gonna go there.
No, who me? I'm getting
Yeah,
personal.
her. No, not her. She's not gonna go personal like that. That's
No.
not.
No, I'm asking for a
We
perspective. Her
stand on a
thoughts.
professional.
I know.
This.
What was
But
the question?
No, I'm
That's a
asking.
different
I'm saying like, okay, you know what I'm saying, I was dealing with a woman that I used to mess around with, but now, you know what I'm saying, we reconnected, but she put all these high expectations as if like, hey, you know what I'm saying, I got to earn it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like what's the deal with that? With women trying to, you know what I'm saying, have all these high expectations, even though I understand if it was like, I didn't know her, but I know her. So, you know, I don't understand the dynamics today or what women be thinking in their heads. They think that they can get more, you know what I'm saying? When I had to put in less, and I had less at the time.
Younger. When you were younger.
Yes.
So I think when women are dating older, you know, they are looking for more and they are expecting you to put in more. And so there is a different dynamic versus dating in your 20s versus dating somebody in their 40s.
Now, no, these are not strangers. These are not strangers meeting. These are people who know each other.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it
Georgia,
does.
here's the question. This still goes back to this. What do men value from women? What do men look for? You in Atlanta. How many times you go to Magic City and seen a whole bunch of girls? You go to Magic City and see guys. Why?
Yeah.
Because guys value outward beauty. Are you more beautiful when you're younger or more beautiful when you're older?
Well, it just depends.
Oh no.
We just sat here and heard that video. Women fight to keep their beauty over the age, and men fight to keep their masculinity.
Can you play the
video?
I'm not gonna lie. Some women peak at different ages. I'm not gonna lie, because I like the time I was dealing. Huh? Go ahead.
Overall, you know that a woman who 20 years old, and then you look at her when she's 50, they not the same.
No, that's extreme.
That's how
I'm not dealing with 50-year-old women, so
I'm just saying, just in general, they not the same.
I deal with their daughters.
But
here's the crazy thing about that. The woman that you went to school with that ain't give you the time of day, that went off and got with the dude with the red BMW, you know what I mean, and went through it. Then you go through life, you get older, you set yourself up, you Gucci. Then she come back around the block trying to see what's up. And next you know, it's like, nah, I'm good. I'd rather your daughter that you had with the dude with the red BMW, because guess what? I just picked me up a red 7 Series. You understand? I ain't trying to mess with your old ass. So that's how we normally go.
We done went from
I guess let me just ask this question, Georgia. Why is it that a woman, when she gets older,
you know how we have to use analogies? Come on.
Why is it that when a woman gets older and her beauty is not what it was, now she expects more? And the analogy that I'm giving is like, why a guy, if he went broke, now he has all these expectations. If he did that, a woman would be like, your broke ass can't do nothing for me. Why is it that a woman who gets older and
you did not just try that. Look at what Locke she
some women close some right down. Oh, come on,
Phyllis, your preposition is insane.
So you gonna say that? All right. Do you think when a guy all right? When do you think a man peaks? When does a man?
No. It's not.
Are we back to this conversation? Where are we going with this?
I think it's insane that you're sitting there preposition that 60-year-old women. Okay, now here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you what you guys are doing, right? Okay. Vivica Fox, old fucking fat ass. Right?
Oh Lord Jesus!
Let me finish.
The language.
I'm sorry. Apologies.
We got a lady in the room. You got her dipping off the screen. She's gonna have to turn her camera off.
Did you just say that about Vivica Fox?
Can we not use Vivica Fox? That's all she does.
Apologies. Vivica Fox is old.
Haggard.
She's my age.
Okay.
She's very seasoned.
Old. She was a baddie back in the day. She's not anymore. So everybody, this is the thing that makes me mad, is that younger people in the space are using her as an example, right? She's an older woman that's past her prime that probably wish she had made better choices when she was younger. She didn't make them. So she's reminiscing like all of us older people do. I reminisce back to when I was in my 30s. That was 30 years ago. Okay, it ain't coming back. I can think about it and I can talk about it, but it ain't gonna happen.
I'm not
So
saying that.
You can't use me or her as an example in a 30-year-old dating pool. And that's what they're doing. They're sitting there saying, oh, Rico, wait till he gets 60. He want a 30-year-old. No, I'm 60. I don't want no 30-year-old. If I talked about it, I'm just talking out the side of my behind. I don't mean it really, because it's not realistic. Only people who are going to date 30-year-olds and 20-year-olds are other 30-year-olds and 20-year-olds.
I'm 40. I don't want no 30-year-old.
Don't get 30-year-old.
Uncle Krusty, that's incorrect, my brother, because who was Vivica Fox dating when she was younger? She was dating 50 Cent. Now, at the age she at now, 50
When she
Cent
was
can
younger,
get
what was younger? What was younger? What was younger?
That was about 20 years ago.
But let me say this, Uncle Krusty. Can Vivica Fox get 50 Cent?
No.
If she wanted. Or can 50 Cent get Vivica Fox if he wanted?
Yes,
that lets you know about the age difference.
Excuse me. But this is what I'm saying, Fearless. The younger can always get the older. Vivica Fox can't get no. Vivica Fox is she almost 60? She can't get. She is not attractive to anybody except the people in her age group today. Now, younger people can get older people. Older people can only get younger people with money.
Can I just say one thing?
Hold on, stop. That's the whole point of hypergamy. But go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I got to say one thing real quick. Like I said, I got Bible study in the morning, and I can't be up all day. Young.
I know you lying.
He tried it. I don't even know him.
Anyway, a wise man once said, "Back then you didn't want me. Now I'm hot. You all on me." All right. That's all I got. Good night. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Bacchus.
I got to read the book. I got to go save some of these people. Get them saved bring them over to the Lord.
Yeah, hallelujah.
We love you, brother. We love you. All I'm saying is the reality is this is insanity that we're having this conversation.
We're not having this conversation. We're not trying to even go down this road. Is what I'm trying to say. Why are we going down this road? Hypergamy is hypergamy. It's never going to change from every culture to any culture. Men always marry down, women marry up. Let's just leave that where it is. Is that video queued up so we can play it?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
let's play that.
Wow. What was her name? Where that girl at? There she go.
Says is preserved.
And this is something that we have to look at. They're taught to be a man and internalize everything. And then on top of that, us women, we have never learned. We were never taught what it means to create the atmosphere for your man to open up himself to you. And so in times and moments where your man opens up himself to you, it's very hard for you to receive it. In fact, in a moment where you were upset at him, angry at him, mad at him, you used that information that he gave you, which was so sacred, against him. It was a slap to his face. And now you're asking yourself, why doesn't he talk? Why doesn't he want to speak to me? Why isn't he going the same way that he did before? So we have to learn how to create the atmosphere for a man to open up himself to us. But it's imperative that we know that this atmosphere comes from within.
Okay. So that was a good video. It's a good video. I don't have anything negative to say about it. I think what she said was positive. Absolutely. I agree with that 1000%. I'm just trying to get the context of the video. But I agree with every word the young lady said. I would like to know the context of who she is and what, because I don't think you say those words in a vacuum. That's it. Those words weren't said because She just jumped out of the bed and those words spilled out of her mouth. There was some context around that, and that wasn't showed in the video. So I don't want men to use it as if it was spoken in a vacuum.
But the thing is it wasn't spoken in a vacuum, because a lot of us deal with this stuff all the time.
No, it wasn't spoken in a vacuum. That's what I'm saying, and I get what you're saying, HB Global. Like we can all say that as men we experience that, but I'm sitting there saying is even when we experienced that, it wasn't experienced in a vacuum. It wasn't like we didn't end up in these situations with a woman who for whatever reason, however she felt like from out of nothingness. We have to stop doing that. So
let me ask you,
and I can sit there and say that you were right, she was wrong, but I just want to say that look, she was wrong, whether she had a reason or not, she was wrong. But to sit there and just make it like, oh, women are just crazy, that's the problem. It's like we can't be walking around.
She said that. Crazy. So let me ask you. The first question is rhetorical. Do you love your wife?
Who, me?
Mm-hmm.
To the ends of the earth, absolutely.
How many times have you cried, opened up, been vulnerable, said all the things, your deepest secrets that you could do with your
me? Never.
Boom, and you're a beta male, as you claim to be.
So did you just
and
hear
you
that?
Still can't open up and say anything to your wife.
So
no,
I want to hear. I want you to hear what he just said.
Yeah, me.
He loves his wife to the end of the earth. How many times have you been vulnerable to her?
I've said multiple times. If you didn't hear me earlier, I'm broken.
No, I'm not, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with you. I'm saying that
I'm saying there is.
We don't open up. Because before you came on, Georgia was saying, hey, how can you not be with someone you couldn't be vulnerable with? We always say.
Right. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that I can't be. That's part of the problem, is my wife wish I would be. I'm saying me. I'm not saying that I can't be or she's not receptive to it. I'm saying
do you think
me.
She would look?
There's a difference there.
Even though she loves you, do you think she would look at you?
No.
And you can say no, but maybe how you feel. Let's go with how you feel in the reality. Even though your wife loves you, do you think that she would look at you differently if you were that vulnerable person?
I honestly don't know, but I don't think so. But I'm not, because even her culture that she comes from, the machismo bullshit, which we always talk about in Latin America, it fits within that, because not only am I not vulnerable, other family members are not. So she's more accustomed to it anyway. So me turning it off ain't nothing she ain't used to, because her uncles and her brothers and all the rest of them don't either. But me personally, I don't do it because they do it. I do it because how I feel.
But that sounds like it was a top thing. If her uncles and everybody else in her family is used to not sharing certain details about their lives and their struggles, then that sounds like that's a generational thing that's been passed down based on the actions or the reactions of their counterparts in a negative way.
I agree.
What we're trying to tell you, Georgia. This is a generational thing. This ain't something we just came up with. This has been going on. My grandfather would tell you, there's no way I would tell your grandmother everything.
I agree. Thank you. I agree. Thank you. I 1000% agree. And what I'm saying is I co-opted it, and I didn't co-opt it. It was already in me, but it was like, okay, fuck it. They do it. I can do it. All right, let's keep rocking. And I'm broken.
I want to continue this as much as I can, but we have been gone for 4 hours. Usually we're trying to get down to 2, but I didn't want to stop it any longer, but I've been keeping her on. I want to make sure that it's just like if you guys ever watch a series, we end right when the hype starts, so we can always part 2 on our next series. So I'm stopping it so that our next series we can continue on. And I want to invite all of you guys, because this is great. Uncle Krusty, you did not put your information in the back channel. I want you to do that for us so that we can all get a hold of you. I also want to say thank you, Georgia. I appreciate it. I think this has been very helpful. It's been very good. I think it's opened a lot of ears and eyes and hearts to a lot of people. I even found out myself that maybe I need to talk to some people. Dan. As I say previously, this is like the starfish story where the girl's walking across the beach, 1,000 starfish. She throws one in. Guy says it didn't help. She picks another one up and says it mattered to that one. So maybe all of these people, maybe 1,000 people watched and only one person it mattered to. That's all that matters.
Wow.
Go ahead, young lady. We'll let you close.
Well, again, this is more than, this is my second time now doing this, and this is more than I could have ever thought. We're talking about vulnerability and how difficult it is for men to be vulnerable. Yet, I was on here with several men who were vulnerable, and it touched me because I know how hard it is for men to get into therapy. And so for us to have this conversation, you all share your experiences with depression, anxiety, PTSD, alcoholism. These are the things that men are struggling with and are scared to talk to somebody about. And we just had 4 hours of conversation. We talked about many different things, but this is amazing to me. And I just never thought, me being a therapist and sitting in a room and doing this, I never thought that this would go beyond this point. And so I appreciate you, Fearless, for even inviting me on here. And I'm so appreciative to you men. And we got several different age groups on here. And I'm just like,
and Black men.
Yes, Black men. And, like I said, I am a sensitive person. I still remain compassionate in what I do. And I don't ever want to lose that. And that's something, like I said earlier, we're told not to show emotions. I do not want to lose that piece of me, because that means I become hardened. And I don't want to be that kind of therapist. I want to be the kind of therapist that I can feel my clients' emotions and we can work together through them. I don't want to be that cold therapist sitting in a room talking to a client. So I'm always going to show emotion when I feel it, and I'm never going to hold that back, and I'm never going to apologize for that. So I appreciate all of you men for sharing and being open. And this is what we need, and we need more of it. And I thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
No problem. I appreciate being able to be a part of your thesis when you go for your doctorate. That's all I'm saying. I know you over there documenting the hell out of our conversations. Okay,
I know
what you're doing over there.
She's gonna write a book.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you gentlemen have a good night, and thank you again. And I
no
look forward
problem.
to
We appreciate you all the time.
All right. Take care.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Send some of them well-off women towards my way.
Yeah. That $300,000 one. That $300,000 one, we're definitely interested in hearing about.
Go to bed. Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night.
Guys, I just want to thank everyone for coming up here, man. I think these are the type of conversations we have. And it just tells me that it's much more beneficial because, we don't even see the same type of energy in the chat that we would normally see when we're doing the other channels and videos. Yeah. So this is great. And I'm glad that you guys joined and opened up. I think this is a good thing, especially for us being Black men, to be able to discuss this, man. And I would say this, even though we talking to the world, it's almost like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So what we talk about in this channel, if I see anybody going out to another channel talking about what somebody did when they were here, talking bad about them, or they were vulnerable or this, you will not be invited back here. So with that said, what we try to do is at least make this a safe zone. So I don't want people who are on this panel to go somewhere else and talk negatively about what we said here. We try to keep this a little bit safe.
Or feel like they can't have a conversation in here without it being shared to the world and used in a negative tone.
That is correct. That is right. Great show, uninterrupted with the shenanigans. That's right, Drew. We took some lessons and we tried to move on. So we're going to try to have this every Thursday, or at least every other Thursday. Last week we had a show with Todd Allen, and he has a channel called
How to Be Happy TV.
How to Be Happy. So we talked about, the sadness and 5 ways to get happy. We hope that we can continue this and keep going with it. So with that said, guys, I'm going to bid everyone.
Well, can we anybody say goodbye?
Oh, brother, yeah, I was just saying my piece, and then everybody else can say their piece. I'm out of it. Whoever wants, I'll let Ronan be the last person, and whoever wants to go next, continue on.
Go ahead, old crusty age before beauty, man. Go ahead, man. Come on, brother.
I was just gonna say that I really appreciate the opportunity to come up. And again, I hope people show my vulnerability. By all means, I really, what drew me up here was you having Dr. Georgia. I don't know if I'm using
that's her ghost name, by the way. That's not her real name.
I apologize if I'm, whatever, because I don't know, but I think it was good. And it was like having this sort of conversation is what compelled me to come up and join the conversation. I wouldn't have came up here if it was the normal, buffoonery we see in the space. And I'm not saying you guys do, but just everybody. Everybody, the women, they're like, I don't want to talk about that. But she was up here and she was talking about mental health. I thought was very important. I think it was very important in our community. I think it was very important in the veteran space. I think it was very important just to talk about it so that we could destigmatize. Because again, like I said, I came from a generation where mental health was stigmatized and people was afraid to talk about it. And that's why I felt compelled to share that if you were born of the boomer generation, we hid anybody having to deal with any sort of mental health because it wasn't acceptable then. And even to this day, a lot of that stigma still exists among us. I know people who have family members and so on and so forth. And people, people were stigmatized for mental health where they weren't mental health issues. Okay. They were just regular issues, and people really went away. And you guys just have no idea how that felt and how it still feels to this day. So hopefully I'm glad that at least I could express in my little way how people felt about it. And I just think that the conversation was really great. I applaud you guys for what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. I think is a good thing. And I salute you both. When I catch your ass slipping, I'll let you know. But tonight, you guys did a great job. You really did. And and HB Global, brother, I learned a little bit more about you. I want to say that, from, just hearing a little bit about your backstory, I empathize more with what you went through. We don't have to see everything exactly the same, but again, I'm getting closer to understanding what some of the younger men behind me are going through. But I will also say that, I'm going to continue to try to educate. That's it. But I apologize in any place that where maybe I went too far and where that I didn't. I stand on that shit. Thank you, and have a great night, sir.
All right. Appreciate you, old crusty.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people talking to somebody, trying to get your mental health under control is very important. It took me a long time. I wouldn't say a long time because I did it several years ago, maybe like 10 years ago. I didn't get what I needed from it at the time, because you know how you watch Hollywood television shows and the therapist sitting up there, they give them all the, what I'm saying, the person. I'm like, damn, like, where's that? You know what I'm saying? So that's why, yeah, because I was like, I want this person to help me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Help me come to like finding out like what is causing me to feel this way. And
Right.
me trying it again the second time, I didn't get it again. So I was like, God damn, like, I mean, this therapist, like, are these people just here to take the money? Because I wasn't getting any solutions, you know what I'm saying, from any of the things I was saying. I'm like, I was talking to this person for like weeks and shit. You know what I'm saying? Then it came to a point where I was hearing this person's problem. I'm like, bro, I'm not your therapist, dog. You know what I'm saying? I'm not paying you, you know what I'm saying, to goddamn to deal with your shit. You know what I'm saying? So but I do think it's important because I seen it early, man. Cats that was heavily medicated. Dudes that went through some shit. I knew some cats that was, you know what I'm saying, that was forced reconnaissance, and these cats was like dead inside. They couldn't sleep. They couldn't sleep at night. They were just dealing with all kind of demons. And at the time, I didn't think I was dealing with, demons until like, I caught myself, having these road rage issues. Always wanted to, smack the hell out of somebody because they think it's a game. They don't know my pedigree. They think it's like, okay, I'm just gonna talk trash to this guy and think he ain't gonna do nothing. You know what I'm saying? That stuff like it frustrates you. You know what I'm saying? And even though you can give advice to other men, say, hey, bro, you need to cool out. Sometimes I'm not taking my own advice because sometimes when you're in a moment, that's why I wanted to like try to seek help. Like, hey, man, I need some damn tools to help me mitigate all this frustration that I'm having. And you know what I'm saying? Especially
somebody.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Especially dealing with people at work, people being passive aggressive, you know what I'm saying? And just a whole number of things, you know what I'm saying? Even just with dealing with personal life stuff. But yeah, I am coming up on 16,000 subscribers. I want y'all to make sure y'all go subscribe to Fillers and make sure y'all go subscribe to Run the Travels. Make sure you get these guys subscriber counts up. You know what I'm saying? Get their views up and support these guys because they also bringing some good grown man shit to the travel space. You know what I'm saying? Like, even I'm casting through their content, but I also wanted to provide a balance of, you know what I'm saying, information for men who travel, not just, you know what I'm saying, just traveling to turn it up. We're talking about finance stuff and mental health, man.
And make sure you put your channel in the chat for everyone, please.
Yes, right up under my name. Y'all will see it. Yeah. So
Facebook Gun Global all day.
Darnell, parting words for the people.
Yes, I just want to say this is a great episode. I really appreciate Miss Georgia for coming on. Rico coming on. Salute to the entire panel. For coming on. It takes great strength. Especially dealing with the stigma. Of mental health. Because the first thing people start doing as soon as you say, "Hey, I'm seeing a therapist or something," or I take anxiety medication. The first thing is people use that to attack you. Let's face it. I know Rico was talking earlier about there used to be a stigma. There's no used to be about it. It's still prevalent to this day. You hear it a lot, both with men and women. Where not only is it a stigma anymore, but now the term therapy has been weaponized. So you say therapy, you need therapy. Everyone always says someone else needs therapy. But I think a lot of times, so people need to look in the mirror, and instead of just shouting, "You need therapy," try to just kind of be cognizant. Don't weaponize therapy. Don't just start shouting, "Somebody needs therapy," and try to demean them. As far as for those that do feel that, hey, you need help. One of the things I do want to recommend, because this is I really wish, the medical community would do more of like vitamin testing and things of that nature. Because as I found out, when you are vitamin deficient, again, if you are struggle with substance abuse like I did, you tend not to eat. Like I would go literally almost 3 days without eating. Just because I just didn't feel like eating, just wasn't hungry. I would only eat just to because it got to a point where, man, I felt so weak and I finally had to break down and eat something. But it tends to, and that's real common with alcoholism. It depletes your vitamin Bs. I'm not sure about vitamin D. I might have been just vitamin D deficient. It is very common here in Arizona. Vitamin D deficiency is very common in Arizona. So it might have been something else that caused me to be vitamin D deficient. But as I said, vitamin D deficiency can cause mental health issues. It causes depression. So before you start taking medication, take a vitamin test first. Find out, am I vitamin D deficient? For those of you that live in states like Washington State or Alaska, where you don't get any sunlight, I think Alaska got 30 days and no sun, no daylight. I found out self-deletion rates. The Army has a base up there called Fort Wainwright. They had it was either Fort Wainwright or Fort Richardson. One of the two had led the Army in self-deletion. So just kind of think about that. And again, I'm not against medication, but I would kind of do medication. Make sure you're ready for it. Don't just start taking, because once you start, you can't just stop. Your body. The problem is your body, over the course of time, can reject it. If you try to start, if you stop and start, and it's no longer effective. So, but thank you for having me. Great episode today.
And I'm gonna let Ronan finish it off. And I put that in the chat when I looked it up. It said vitamin D deficiency is associated with depression, and especially people who are melanated. We actually need more sunlight than other races.
Got to keep that tan going.
Yep. Also fatty fish. Like salmon, cod, tuna.
Exactly.
Prism. I don't know who Prism is, but congratulations. Great conversation.
Prism, $10. Appreciate you joining in. Yes. I was going to say that. Prism, thank you for joining in, and thank you for the $10 super chat. Oh, Prism, where have you been? Thanks for the $10 super chat. Okay, yes.
Oh, it must
Prism,
be HB.
Yeah, go to HB. We appreciate you listening. Please don't let this be the last time. Please join in. And Roland, brother, go ahead.
One question: are we doing Lions Den tomorrow night? And what's the topic?
Well, I have not gotten that
far. See how much, man? That's crazy, bro.
No,
we'll be coming up with.
I hope that by next week we can schedule it out a few weeks ahead.
So stay tuned if we're going to do Lions Den tomorrow night or not. It could be a last minute yay versus a nay, but we're doing some restructuring here. Some people can be exposed to certain things online right now. But it was a great topic. I'm a huge advocate for mental health for men, especially with the things I went through in my lifetime within the military alone. And I know so many young men have dealt with other things, not even necessarily dealing with the military. I think we all have been traumatized growing up. So I'm always encouraging people to seek help. And sometimes you can't just do it on your own. You need the assistance of a professional. So I would tell each and every one of y'all, if you have regressed feelings of anger and different things like that, you jump off, or you have a very short temper. These are all signs of having some type of trauma or traumatic event that's happened to you that maybe you're suppressing as a child. So I would definitely encourage you guys to seek help, at least be evaluated for it. Get your vitamin test done. I do take vitamin D3, B12. I'm on turmeric. I do moringa powder. I do a whole bunch of holistic things for myself at my age, even at 6'2", 290 pounds. I do not have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, any of the things that would kill you. I don't have them. So don't let science say that, oh, because you're this. We are black people. We are bigger than the European standard. So if you're going off that European standard to say what the fuck is actually in line with health, that is not true. And I don't know what the hell y'all sucking on in the background, but that shit is not sounding
but I'm
cool at
sorry.
all.
The little pet scared. He came out of nowhere. I'm like, what the
is
hell
that your damn killer rabbit or something?
Yeah, man, hey, look, man, I got a ghetto rabbit.
You got a killer rabbit over there, man. If y'all ever seen Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, he got killer rabbits over there, bro. They'll eat humans.
He's an attack rabbit, man, straight from the hood.
But anyway, like I said, just stay encouraged. We look to do some more in this series with the mental health. We're trying to make it Thursdays on a regular basis. This is our third week. If you guys have ideas, if you're on the replay or even now, once we end the live, of things you'd like to have us bring up on topics to discuss, that's all encouraged. Please leave a note in the chat, or not actually, chat's going to be closed. So in the comments on either one of our pages, what ideas you would like to hear us bring up when it comes to mental health in our community specifically, but we're going to go ahead and end the live now. We're almost 4 hours and 21 minutes in. Appreciate everybody coming up on the panel and people that came into the live to contribute and comment, and even in all the super chats. We appreciate those too. Thank you very much.
I'll play an outro. If you listen this long and you haven't subscribed and hit that notification bell, shame on you. My goodness, shame on you.
That's a damn shame.
That is a damn shame.
You know what they could be
meet again next week, my friends.
They could be one of those.
Peanut butter and jealous. These fuckers hate us because they ain't us.
They could be some haters up in here. You know what I'm saying? They just came in to listen. But we hope that some of you haters have actually learned something today.
We're going to talk about that off screen. I'm going to have to address Well, all right, guys. Until next time.
Roll that beautiful bean footage, brother.
I'm going to do that outro as the intro. Is that all right?
That's cool. Whichever.
All right.
All right, folks. Thursday evening is coming in hot. And you know what that means? It's time for another round of the evening therapy session, brought to you by your favorite hosts, the Fearless Podcast and the one and only Ronin Travelers. This week, episode 3, we're getting deeper, we're getting realer, and we're bringing you the truth you need to hear. Now we've got our special returning guest, a true Southern belle from Atlanta, Georgia. She's got a master's degree in therapy, and she knows her stuff when it comes to relationships and mental health. You don't want to miss her insight, folks. This time, she's tackling a topic that hits home for a lot of people: why men suffer in silence. Did you know that according to national stats, over 6 million men suffer from depression every year, and men are 4 times more likely to die by self-deletion than women? This is real, folks, and it's happening every day. Too often, men are taught to keep it all inside, to man up and deal with it alone. But tonight, our expert therapist is breaking down why this happens, what you can do about it, and how we can change the conversation around men's mental health. So if you're struggling, or you know someone who is, if you're tired of carrying that weight alone, tune in this Thursday night. We're going to dig into what's really going on in men's heads and talk about the real issues that keep men silent. It's the conversation you need to hear: lively, blunt, and most importantly, honest. Our therapist will be sharing her powerful insight, and Fearless and Ronin will be asking the questions you've always wanted answered. So grab your seat, tune in, and let's get into it. Thursday night, episode 3 of the evening therapy session with the Fearless Podcast and Ronin Travelers. Be there, because the only way we grow is by breaking the silence. We'll see you there. Don't miss it.